Well, black people are Native Americans. We've had, a lot of proof that, some of us started here in this land. Everybody wasn't brought over from Africa.
What are they doing here? They're Indians.
This is one of my many unsuccessful experiments. You see, with Indians, there's absolutely nothing to be done. There's the same difference between a Negro and an Indian as there is between a dog and a coyote. You can put a dog on a leash, beat him, and he'll always be there to lick your feet. Take away a coyote's liberty and you've cut off his air. An Indian will never be a slave. No one has ever been able to make them reproduce in captivity. They do not eat, they do not talk, they do not sleep, they do not make love.
There are several things that are significant about it. Of course, one of them is the way that colonialism tries to develop all kinds of elaborate classification terms for different kinds of people. But that's another subject. The most significant thing here is to reveal the much greater amounts of Native American ancestry that are present within the African American population than most people realize, because they might have been misled by the use of terms like mulatto and also people of color.
After the African, LeVar Burton, had been told that his name was to be Toby, and he refused it, and he was beaten to make him say his name was Toby.
That was the dramatization. How much of that actually was recounted to you? I mean, was there a lot of interweaving?
A lot of it, I thought maybe you were going to ask, and maybe you are in another way, is how much of the book is fact and how much is fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction.
Now, this is just a tiny bit of information now.
But they take it as huge.
Right, because it's cracking open the door.
There's a place in Africa you could say that I'm from. A tribe? I am thrilled. It puts a name, a place, a location, a people.
Hank really is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
But what about your own company?
We have
he
the
didn't
largest...
exclude you. He included you.
But we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns. We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
it's less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%.
And that's pretty teeny.
Yeah, but for people who know nothing about any of them, I think it's very important.
You do not know a goddamn thing about Africa. I am from Detroit, Motown. So you can watch Tootsie your monkey ass back to Africa if you want to.
Hey, y'all. Hold on. Y'all get in here and like the video. How y'all doing, girl? Hold on. Real quick. Let me go get my iPad. Hold on. What's up, y'all? Oh, let me turn the camera back on. How y'all doing? Y'all get in here and like the video. I'm so sorry I couldn't make it this morning. They really want to make me work. My nerves already bad, girl. So I apologize about this morning for the morning jokes. But we're now. We got some things we want to discuss. And before we get into today, we're going to finish off what we did yesterday. But even before we get into that, I have something to say. So are any of you guys familiar with this Sean Atwood or Attlewood platform? Are y'all familiar with that? It's clear people. They sound like they British or something like that. And they have nothing but Negroes over there. talking about like Gene Deal, Jaguar Wright, like all these other people. I didn't finish it. I still got some here in the middle. I didn't finish. His name is Sean Atwood. You watch Bree? Okay. So I don't know how he came up in my algorithm, but it was when Jaguar Wright was going at it with the guy Courtney Burgess. And they were beefing at that time. And I guess they came back and they cool now or whatever. Nevertheless, it's a podcast with two clear men from somewhere in England or something like that. I'm not the only one. Whew. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. T24 on my soul. I was sitting here going back and forth in my head like, all right, girl, you do the most. You know what I mean? But it's not just me. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. 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 And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. T24 says he see Vlad is slacking, so now he's trying to take over. Let me tell you why I say that. So anyway, let me give y'all a background. The background is this is as far as I know. The background is some clear people over in England sound like this. That's what the accent sound like. And they always have black people, black Americans in particular, on their platform. That's all they have. Jaguar Wright, Gene Deal. I don't know if Gene Deal ever been over there, but Courtney, whatever his name, Burgess. All of these people, you know what I mean, are on their timeline. Oh, I love you more, boo. Of course. Absolutely. Oh, I love you more. You're welcome. You don't have to thank me for that. Oh. But look, let me tell y'all something. So they have this platform and all they have is black people on there. And they talk about like conspiracy, what people will call, I don't think it's conspiracy theory stuff. But all they talk about is like stuff with what's going on in the industry. Now, at first, when I first came across it, I was like, it's all clear people on here and their channel only happens because of the Negroes. That's how I'm feeling, right? But today I just got off the live. They had Ronnie Bow. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ronnie Bow. I wasn't until today. Okay. Drika Brown says, I've been on a replay game so long. Thank goodness. I miss you, Vu. You winning out here all in Dade County, the 305. Shout out to Dade County, 305. Take it to the house. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all know I love Florida, man. I love my Negroes down in Florida. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all. But look, let me tell y'all what's going on. Look. So Ronnie Bow was in prison with R. Kelly. Now, according to what I've seen so far, he is writing a book. Okay, he's writing a book, and basically he was able to contact R. Kelly, talk to him, and realize that R. Kelly was set up by the industry. Now, when I say set up, I don't mean he's not guilty of things that he's done. I didn't see the tape, but we all know that there was a tape. So let's start there first. He did some stuff, but what the industry does is they let you do so much and they don't say nothing. And then when Mad Day come, poof, there you go. So with that being said, he's on there talking about how he wrote a book about R. Kelly and some conspiracy theory stuff that most people will label that and things of that nature. And he seems like he's in a very vulnerable situation. He's received threats and all that stuff. And so he's on this platform and they had this clear woman came on there. You think I'm lying? When I tell you gave me the heebie-jeebies, this lady gave me the heebie-jeebies. Jesus. Hold on. I'm about to show y'all. She was trying to give him advice, but she kept talking about his throat. Like, I'm not even like overreacting. They called her on here. Look, they called her on here. I'm about to show y'all from my phone. The man was like, you have to talk to this lady. Now she's posing as a spiritual advisor. Black Americans, black people, black whoever. There is zero. You cannot get any spiritual guidance from a clear person. You can't. It's impossible. I know you're probably like, but voodoo. No, I'm telling you. It bothered me that she was giving him the spiritual advisor and I'm gonna Oh, and it just, I was creeped out. Like, let me show you. Hold on.
I definitely want to stay in touch with you.
Let me back up.
Ask questions to be Beverly.
Okay. Ronnie, I think because your energy looks like a popcorn machine at the moment, I think if I can ask you just to take a deep breath, because that energy is just floating everywhere and your mind is just blown away on various things. I just need you to breathe. I really do need you to breathe, because there's a lot going on right now with you, and it really is a case of breathing and going inwards.
Hold on.
And just allowing your...
I want to show y'all the part where she starts talking about his throat. It's not funny. But she was on here saying that she could tell he got stuff to come out because it's in his throat or something like that.
Ronnie, or it's not problem.
Yeah, it's just one unusual thing that I want to say to Ronnie Bo. And this is, when you name all the things that you love, because your energy is very strong at the moment, I want to know whether one of the things that you name that you love, I want to make sure that as your name, you are also included in that. Because that's very important right now, is to make sure that you are happy and content with where you're at the moment. Because that energy around you is creating waves like you have no idea what your frequencies are doing, and they are going far and wide. I know you are worried that this is the last time you'll be able to appear. I can see that it's a popping popcorn energy, and I can feel that there's that possible distress, particularly in the heart chakra and in your throat. But if you can look at what you're doing and not apologize for your truth, because I see you and I see that you are telling your truth because you believe this might be your last time. I'm going to put energy on you that it isn't your last time, because I think you're key.
Let me tell y'all something. I don't think, let me clarify before I say it. I don't think that everybody on the panel is disingenuous. I don't know. Like, my spirit ain't telling me the whole thing is a setup, but my spirit is telling me it's a setup. Does that make sense? Now, she on here keep mentioning his throat and then talking about, I'm going to put the energy on you. Listen, it's just like letting anybody pray over you. You cannot do that. You can't. You can't. These people are physically and scientifically incapable of offering what we need. They just can't. They just can't. And the fact that she's in that tone, in that mellow tone, and they were like, oh, we got to get her up here. We got to get her up here. She's great. And I'm sitting here thinking, something is off about this. Something is very off about this. Like I said, I haven't finished. I think they're still on. But he's in such a need for somebody and something. And I just feel so bad. Oh, I just feel there's something not right about that platform. And it does give me DJ Vlad tease, but not in the sense where they will go to jail or nothing. I think in a sense of, you come on there, you spill the tea, and then God forbid, you're not here no more. That's the vibe I get from it. I get Vlad in the general sense, but I really get Vlad in the, you come on here, everybody, boom, 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 and it's all these people from across the seas and all that, and they're just like, oh, she's so great. And I'm thinking, yeah, Drika, it's very creepy to me too. I don't know. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say that. I don't know. Sipping the hot tea, thank you for the super chat. Hey, boy, I missed you this morning. You just want to let you know you were missed and show you some love. Thank you so much, girl. I was so mad I couldn't. By the time I got finished, it was 1 o'clock. I was like, I ain't no more morning jokes. Bad enough, I barely be joking in the morning at noon. Girl, it was like 1 o'clock. I was like, man, don't even get me, yeah, don't get me started. But thank you so much, D. I appreciate you, my love. Y'all get the likes up on the video. We about to get started. Chancia Pinkett, thank you for the super chat. Hair color is cute. Vu, glad to see you again. Oh, thank y'all so much. I got a nice little chunk in the middle. I still got to finish, girl. But I ain't gonna lie. I was in between braids. It was rough. It was rough. Especially that first day I wore that wig and I had a hump right here. Because my hair buku thick and I don't know how to tame it yet. And girl, when I tell you, I put that wig on and I tried so hard because I didn't want to braid it down because I'm about to braid my hair. Girl, I tried so hard to make that wig sit right on my head and it just refused. The lady name is Beverly Rose. She has several books. She apparently experienced a similar situation to Allie Carter. She was trafficked for a whole lot of her life. Wow. Yeah, I don't know her. Sorry to that lady. Sorry to that lady, but something about her is not really, like, my spirit is saying something. Oh, Reed, cousin, look at my niece. Niece, it's your birthday? Shout out to my niece. Riri, it's your birthday, girl. Jamaica, my niece. What's up? We about to drop the cakes in the chat. Happy birthday, beautiful. Love you down to the ground and up to the sky. Do you hear me? Y'all get the likes up and drop them cakes down here. Let's do this birthday thing for my niece right quick. Happy birthday, and I wish you so many more. Like, it's unreal. And you're so sweet and so amazing. I'm so happy to have you over here. It's almost like you were supposed to be here, divine or something like that. Happy birthday, boo. Let's get the birthday song going. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, beautiful. Happy birthday. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and however long you want. I remember being 19. It was just a few years ago. So I know exactly where you are. I just came out of 19, so I understand. And happy birthday. And I hope you have as much fun and do what you want, Fefe. Love you down. All right, let's get into the lesson, y'all. So before we get back into where we're going, I want to kind of do a small, minor, brief recap. So last week, what we spoke about was Reconstruction and Black America, Black Indians, Black America, African America, whatever y'all want to say. Okay. So yeah, last week, that's what we discussed. And what we found is after the Civil War, Abe Lincoln came out and was like, yo, we're going to give these people 40 acres and a mule. We're going to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, free them. And then he ended up getting popped in the head. And then next thing you know, Andrew Johnson came and was like, yanks, never mind. Yeah, we're not doing it. And they started taking people's lands. Now, in between that, we talked about how the South was predominantly Black. So much so that they had to import people in from other places, clears, and have them go down to the South. They offered them free land. They offered them all those things. And this is what Martin Luther King was talking about when he said they gave them free land grant colleges and things of that nature. He's talking about this group of people because the South was predominantly Black. Not only that, Black people in the South were running for office, and they also voted, I think just the Black men, but they were voting, and they voted Republican, mostly Black, whole nine, right? So then also we got to the part in this video where we met Tunis Campbell. Tunis Campbell is allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly because I tried to look him up, and it's hard. It's so hard. Whenever you do research, and they always start at adulthood, and they say little very minor stuff about childhood, I squint my eyes. Because a lot of these characters they make up, or they because they're feds, they give them a background. They give them a jacket. You know what I'm saying? So Tunis Campbell comes in amongst a whole bunch of other people. He's going to go up and work toward the White House, and he's going to do great by the people. But it turns out he was a half and half, and he literally did the Negroes wrong and sided with the Clears, because the Clears was like, nah, we're not about to let them live like that. So he sided with the Clears. The Clears are having their issues back and forth with the Negroes. We went down to Louisiana. In Louisiana, now we have Clears that came down there, clear man who came down there to run politics, even though it was already predominantly black. Because remember, the South is predominantly black, but he comes and get his whole family elected, and they come in and they kind of like running or getting ready to run the whole political scheme. I don't know if they're going to touch on it in this video, but they're going to have a whole uprising, and Clears are going to be unalived and Negroes are going to be unalived, but neither here nor there. So far, we got the Confederate then came in and ran the Clears up out of there, unalived them on the way up to, I don't know where they were running to, but they was running them up out of there, basically. But the problem is the Negroes in Louisiana still won't smoke. That's what I want to say where we left off. I don't think we covered anything else. If I did, we'll go over it as we go. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to finish out the rest of that video. So I think it's about 15, 20 minutes. And then we're going to go into Negro timeline or Black America's timeline. And then we're going to go into Franz Boaz, because he was the one who came up with the term, with race as a construct altogether. It was a clear man named Franz Boaz. Without him, we wouldn't know that we are black. He's the one who came and said, Clears are here, blacks are here, and yeah, so we're going to go over that as well. So y'all get in here, like the video, we about to get right into it. Armand Rockmore, thank you for the super chat. I finally caught an Educational Friday live. Love you, Vu. I'm the one who messaged you about Nat Turner. I remember that. Thank you, Armand. And you know, the Nat Turner thing, let me put this in my notes. But the Nat Turner thing, with knowing what I know now and being a proud conspiracy theorist, I ain't gonna hold y'all, bro. I'm questioning a lot. I'm questioning a lot, but I'm gonna put him down in my notes. I'm questioning a whole lot, you know. I just don't know. I'll just say that I just don't know. I just don't know. But anyways, thank you, Armand, for the super chat. I appreciate you so much. Let me see. I want to get the other ones before we get into it. Miss Parker, thank you for the super chat. I hope your birthday was great. Hit the like button. It's a free way to support the channel. Yes, hit the like button. It's literally free. Like, you literally won't have to do nothing but just hit the like. Thank you so much, Miss Parker. Miss Keedy, what's going on? She said, happy Educational Friday, Boo. I be real pressed like it's a TV series. I love what you do, and I really appreciate you for opening my eyes. Love you down to the ground, and I love your back, Fefe. I don't know why my ponytail falling. And I love your back down to the ground. Okay. Thank y'all so much for all y'all support. I really do appreciate each and everybody in the channel or in the chat. Y'all hit the like button, and we about to get right into it, okay? Right into it. So, okay. Now, let's go back and finish off where we left off as it pertains to the video. I'm pretty sure I kind of rewinded just a little bit so we can go back to kind of where we were. So we can kind of cover just a little bit of where we were, and then we will go. Let's go here from here. Oh, remember I told you another thing, the KKK, government organization. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. Okay. All right, let's get into it.
Forge the Confederate lost cause as not a story about loss, but a story about victory. They might have lost the war, but they were now winning the ultimate victory over control of their own society and against Reconstruction.
Democrats took back power in Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Texas. White Southerners called it redemption. Many of the elections were won through violence and intimidation. White Northerners did nothing to stop it.
Let me say this as well. White Northerners, although claim to be liberal for the most part, they don't care about us. That whole civil rights thing with Martin Luther King and them coming down there marching with him, he even said it. He was like, as long as we were fighting to sit at a lunch counter, everybody was on board. But when I talk about economic rights, everybody disappears. Everybody knew what was happening. The only reason the Civil War and all this stuff happened was because of money. I don't know if I mentioned that in the recap. This was all about money. The people in the South were living high off the hog, and the people up north said, you need to run us some of that money. And the people in the South said, well, we'll just go to war behind it. And they did just that, okay? So this is all about money. Most of your wars are about money, women, you know, things of that nature. But I just want us to be clear that, not to say to be negative toward any clear people, but there's certain things that innately they lack. And it's not even their fault. It's just they're not. So they didn't show up. Them not showing up to this or helping up for black people down there, it doesn't surprise me. It like not one bit, because I understand those people.
A key part of it is race and the basic agreement, North and South, among white Americans about the need for subordination of African Americans.
Lured by the myth of the Old South, Northern tourists began to flock to the moss-covered plantations of Georgia, Virginia, Florida. Travel guides suggested that whites and freedmen had learned to live together in harmony. Nothing can be more beautiful than a cotton field, one travel writer declared. When the snowy globes of wool are ready for picking, and the swart laborers, with sacks suspended from their shoulders, wander between the rows. In the summer of 1874, Marshall Twitchell went to New Orleans for the Republican State Convention. His brother-in-law, Frank Edgerton, the sheriff of Coushatta, wrote him a letter warning that some of the leading men in town had formed a chapter of the White League. The purpose of the White League, Edgerton wrote, is the extermination of the carpetbag element, nothing more nor less. Twitchell's reply was intercepted by the League and published in the local paper. He wanted to call in federal troops, he had written, but they would only come if some overt act were committed.
Now, mind you, the carpetbag they're talking about is the clear men who were down there in Louisiana from, I want to say, somewhere up north. And the reason why the federal government didn't pull up is because the same reason why they didn't pull up for Malcolm X when the nation was allegedly behind him. And then also that advertisement, that's how they used to do it all over the world to get the clears to come over here. You got to know this. There was some type of propaganda or advertisement that happened for the last group of illegals to come over here. That's what they do. And oh, I got a homework for y'all too. You want to know, and I know y'all probably know this, but you want to know what you can do to really understand how you are indigenous to the land and everybody else isn't. Whenever you see a clear person, ask them where they from, like where they family from. They're going to tell you Ireland, Italy, Poland. They're going to tell you all of them clear places. None of them are indigenous to this land. If there was something that were to happen, you know, something crazy, and then they have to like deport anybody who's not indigenous, those people would have to go except you. Now they tell you West Africa, but they don't have no proof of that. These people are like, some of them second, third, fourth generations. They people got off them boats when them people were sending out them advertising, come on in. So yeah, that's homework if you want. When you see a clear person, if y'all having conversation, be like, where your family from? And they're going to tell you, oh, they from, my family's from France, or my family's from it. Because they're all foreigners. You're the only people who can't be evicted from this land because it belongs to you and me, okay? Okay. And that's not just in America, in the Americas. Jamaica, Antigua, Bahamas, we're all indigenous to our lands. We are home where we are, all right?
He needed an incident so he could bring federal troops to Coushatta. And he got an incident, but I don't think it was what he was counting on.
The White League was also looking for an incident. Members staged random attacks on blacks. And when a white man was wounded in one confrontation, they had what they needed. Claiming the Twitchell clan was behind a black rebellion, they seized Twitchell's brother, Homer, his three brothers-in-law, Clark Holland, Henry Scott, and Sheriff Edgerton, and 20 of their black allies. They were forced to sign a document promising to resign and to leave Louisiana forever.
The majority would like to see these people out of town safely. After all, they have broken bread with these men. They have entertained one another. They've gone to church with one another.
Escorted by guards, the white Republicans left Coushatta, carrying all their money and valuables. They headed for Texas.
They haven't gone far when they look back and see a large body of 30 or 40 men riding hard, closing in upon them. Out front is a heavily bearded man, sweat just streaming from his body. And as he approaches the rear guard, he screams out, "Get out of the way or share the prisoner's fate." The guards get out of the way. They offer no resistance. At the head of the column, the 6 Republicans suddenly see these men coming down upon them, and one of them screams out, "Mount and ride for your lives." And almost immediately, 3 of them are shot from the saddle. Homer Twitchell supposedly cried out, "Somebody give me a gun. I don't want to die like a dog." And a bullet hits him in the face a moment later.
Homer and 2 others were killed instantly. The other 3 were captured and shot. All were buried in shallow graves.
Once they were arrested, they were going to die. They had to, because these men would have come back with a military force, the likes of which Red River Parish had never seen, and there would be military tribunals for all of the people involved in this uprising.
The following morning, Twitchell got the terrible news.
I imagine Twitchell reading that telegram and reading it again and reading it again, thinking there's got to be some mistake. They can't all be dead. Surely some of them were simply wounded.
The Coushatta Massacre made headlines across the country. Many people were shocked that the violence in the South was now targeting whites.
All these people who were killed are office holders. So you've taken the public officials of Red River Parish and simply executed them. And if it can happen in Red River, it can happen anywhere. And for Freedman, if the White League can take white Republican officials and execute them in cold blood, what can they do to us? Nobody is safe.
For weeks following the massacre, local black leaders slept in the woods at night. The massacre was part of a larger push to take back Louisiana from the Republicans. On September 14th, the White Leaguers struck in New Orleans, seizing the Republican-run legislature in a bloody battle. President Grant was alarmed. He had been reluctant to send more troops to the South, but he could not allow this armed insurrection. The next day, Grant ordered the army to occupy New Orleans. Federal troops entered the State House and forcibly removed the White League representatives, reinstating the Republican government.
See how they always use the government to come in there? And don't be fooled. They talking about people sleeping in the woods and stuff because they scared. We always fought back. Always. Like literally always fought back. Them people didn't just come around there messing with us like that. As a matter of fact, they had to go get the army. We always fought back. Like, period. And that's why they had to always get reinforcements, because they knew it wasn't going to just be no 1-2 yin yin. You're going to have to fight behind that. And if Negroes are sleeping in the woods, let me tell you something. As indigenous people to this land, we stayed in the woods. We knew the woods and the backwoods and all that stuff more than anybody. Why you think we had the Underground Railroad? Why you think we were able to escape whenever we did leave slavery? We knew them woods like nobody else. So don't, and again, that's the narrative. Yeah, they slept in there because they didn't know, because if they could kill the clears, then they know that. No. Don't let that. You got to watch how they do it. You got to watch how they do it, because they're very slick with it. These people is very slick.
He felt that Grant had gone too far, overstepped his constitutional powers. If this can be done in Louisiana, said one senator, how long before it can be done in Massachusetts and in Ohio?
When I leave my home to come to Washington, I'm treated not as an American citizen, but as a brute, forced to occupy a filthy railroad car with gamblers and drunkards. And for what? Not that I'm unable or unwilling to pay my way, but simply because I happen to be of a darker complexion.
Don't nothing look African about this man. That man look like he could be my uncle. Look at his hair. Look at his features. See, that's why I said they had to go tell the kids we was from Africa, because the adults would have been like, man, if you don't go on somewhere, look at this man. There's nothing African looking about this man. Hold on.
When I leave my home to come to Washington, I'm treated not as an American citizen, but as a brute, forced to occupy a filthy railroad car with gamblers and drunkards. And for what?
That ain't no African. That ain't no African. Ain't nothing African about this man. Not his hair, not his face, his high cheek. Remember they used to tell us back in the Gap, the Indians had high cheekbones. Look at them cheekbones. That defined jawline. Come on, man. That's an engine. That's an engine right there. That's an engine right there. But they got us, they taught the children later on that we were from Africa. Hey, you can't find me nobody in Africa look like this. You just can't. We're going to go over that timeline.
Not that I'm unable or unwilling to pay my way, but simply because I happen to be of a darker complexion.
By early 1875, John Roy Lynch was pushing for a new law protecting the right of blacks to be treated as equals in public facilities, in restaurants, on trains, in hotels and theaters. With the North fast losing interest in the South and the economy unraveling, Lynch faced an uphill fight. Worse, the Democrats had taken back control of the U.S. House in the fall elections. Lynch and his Republican allies had only a short lame duck session to win support for the controversial Civil Rights Bill.
It was a remarkable bill because it had such a modern ring to it, at least it would to us. These are kinds of public access issues that would later become so much a part of the modern civil rights movement in the 20th century.
The Civil Rights Bill was taking on the unwritten social codes of everyday life.
The social code is that you are free, but you're not as free as I am free, which is to say that Black people will only rise to a certain level, and there they will remain.
Mama better serve. Wait a minute. When I say bad, you know what? I don't even mean it disrespectfully. Look at Mama. Girl, what? First of all, let's take a look at the husband. But wait, girl, she look like a model.
To racial mixing. This is the great anxiety and suffering, which is to say that black people will only rise to a certain level. And
you better. It's given wanna be on top. You know what I mean? You better. You better. Let me also clear this up too, because a lot of people, it's a huge misconception that in Louisiana, in particular, New Orleans, there was a huge class of mixed race people, or what we call Creoles. That's a lie. Yes, there were a lot. Yes, there was a large group of them, but that's a lie. They still had nappy-headed Negroes down there. And when I mean Negroes, like these people, okay? So that's a huge misconception. I've heard other people say, oh, the people from Louisiana or from New Orleans are mixed. No, we're not. The ones who are mixed are Creole. You can tell by their last names. If their last name end in E-A-U-X, they got the clear people in their blood. You see what I'm saying? If their last name end in any type of French or Spanish, they mixed. Even if they look like me, they got them clear folks in their near bloodline. But that wasn't the populace in New Orleans. It really wasn't. So let's be clear about that. There is a nice sized group of them down there, but that wasn't the majority of the population. It wasn't even half the population. Okay. Yeah. If you got an EUX in your last name, the clear people are in there. And listen, we got them all somewhere at some point. But what I'm saying is, you know who the Creoles are. Just like Andrew Jackson was able to know who the Indians were by their last name, same stuff. Yeah, Devereaux, yeah, all of them. So you know who the ones got them clear folks in their blood. Because see, in Louisiana and in New Orleans, you could marry a Negro gal and you wasn't shunned like they were all over, you know what I mean, the world. Like they were loud and proud with their wives and children. So it wasn't like as bad as it was in other places. Okay? Y'all get the lights up on the video.
and there they will remain. Whites saw the Civil Rights Bill as the opening wedge into the bugbear of 19th century society. And that was a belief that if you opened up these places to black people, it would open the door to racial mixing. This is the great anxiety and fear that haunts all of the discussion about civil rights during the Reconstruction period. And this fear is not only a fear in the South, it's a fear in the North also.
Lynch refused to give up.
If this discrimination is to be tolerated, then I can only say that our social system is a disgrace and our religion a complete hypocrisy.
The Republicans managed to push the bill through, but it was never widely enforced. Within a decade, the Supreme Court declared it unconstitutional.
Most of Reconstruction legislation is far ahead of its time. It took another century for this country to try to live up to the ideals that were implemented temporarily in Reconstruction.
A few weeks after the Civil Rights Bill passed, John Roy Lynch went back to Mississippi to campaign for re-election. He found a state in chaos. Democratic vigilantes shot at blacks in broad daylight to keep them away from the polls. Newspapers openly called for assassination. It was a full-scale, open assault on Reconstruction.
What you have here now is the overturning of a democratic process by illegitimate means.
The governor of Mississippi pleaded for help, but President Grant had learned a hard lesson in Louisiana.
Grant refuses to help. And it's a political calculation. Now, I'm sorry. You're going to have to face this on your own. And the result of it, of course, is that the Republicans are driven from power.
Hey, you notice how they drove the Republicans out? That was the Negro Party. They drove the now, mind you, they said we switched parties. They were trying to get the Republicans up out of Louisiana or New Orleans, I'm sorry, because they were getting too much headway. And the reason that they were upset at that, because they knew, I'm talking about the Clears, they knew that if we give them an inch, they're going to run a marathon because we've always been successful. Number two. Number three, somebody put it in the chat earlier. We ain't never rushed to go procreate with them. It was actually the other way around. It was mostly clear men getting with the Negro women, to be completely honest. And that's why those last names are still prevalent to this day. It was mostly clear men getting with Negro women. I'm not saying it didn't happen the other way around. What I'm saying is that for the most part, by and large, it was the clear men going to get them bad girls. We just like the one I just showed you. It was them. Mind you, also, they were marrying Indians or Indian women because they were also being able to marry them to inherit the lands that they own too. So I get it. Now we got the brothers out here that have this snow bunny crisis. I get it. But it was never like that before. It was always the other way of most part. Okay? Because we are beautiful, beautiful girls. We're very beautiful. To this day, the clear men will, even if they won't marry you, they damn sure attracted to you. And if they get an opportunity to get you down to the bedroom, they gonna do that part too. So don't get it twisted. It was always the other way around, not us running behind them. Because why did we need to? Why did we need to? You saw that lady husband. That man was fine as hell.
John Roy Lynch managed to hang on to his seat, the only Republican, black or white, elected to Congress from Mississippi. Back in Washington, he called on the president. "It surprises me that you yielded," Lynch said to Grant. "It is the first time I have ever known you to show the white feather." Grant told him that if he had sent troops to Mississippi, the Republicans would have lost the White House. The general who had won the Civil War was now close to losing the war over Reconstruction. He told Lynch, "I am very much concerned about the future of our country. What you have just passed through in Mississippi is only the beginning of what is sure to follow." In the spring of 1876, Marshall Twitchell risked a brief visit to Coushatta to tend to some business.
On May 1st, he goes into Coushatta and finds an unusual number of prominent Democrats in town. Some kind of powwow is clearly going on. And he asked one of them, it's late in the day, "What's everybody doing around here so late in the day? It's almost dark." And he's informed that an issue of long standing is being decided. And only afterwards will the meaning of that reply become apparent to him.
Twitchell has to be done away with. And maybe that will end it. Because we're at war now.
The following day, Twitchell left his plantation for a meeting in town. With him was his only surviving brother-in-law, George King. They took the ferry across the river to Coushatta.
Early that morning, a strangely clad man had ridden into Coushatta. He was wearing a long oilcloth coat, green eye goggles, a hat pulled down low over his face, and possibly false whiskers. He goes to the blacksmith shop, and there he waits.
As the ferry approached, the man made his way to the riverbank in full view of townspeople.
Twitchell is sitting in the ferry reading a newspaper. He looks up, sees this man pull the rifle from underneath his coat, and he screams out down in the boat. Twitchell moves fast. He gets hit in the leg before he can get over the side of the boat. His brother-in-law, George King, pulls a pistol and gets off a shot, and the rifleman above shoots him in the head, and he pitches back in the boat dead. Twitchell's got one arm up over the gunwale of the boat. The rifleman above is a good shot. He puts 2 bullets in that arm. Twitchell uses his other arm. The rifleman puts 2 bullets in that arm. And the rifleman above empties the rifle, throws it aside, pulls out a big pistol, and blazes away with that. Twitchell, he's been shot 6 times. He whispers to the ferryman, "Tell him I am dead." And he turns and floats face down in the water, drifting with the current. A black servant woman approaches the rifleman. She asks him if he was shooting at an alligator. And he says, "Yes, a damned black alligator."
The assassin's identity was never revealed.
There's some speculation as to it being my great-grandfather. He was the kind of man that could have done it. If it had to be done, he would have done it.
Amazingly, Twitchell survived the shooting. He was taken to a house a few miles from Coushatta, where both his arms were amputated.
I turned my face to the window, watching the sun as it disappeared behind the trees, reviewing my past life and trying to imagine what would be my future in the world.
A delegation of local black ministers came to pay their respects.
The concern of these ministers was not simply for Twitchell himself, but for all he represented. He represented this dream of a truly biracial society in which black people would be treated with respect and dignity. And he's almost a corpse now, and he becomes a metaphor for their own broken dreams.
The White League in Coushatta had a very different reaction. Our people rejoiced at it, B.W. Marston recalled, as much as they would at the killing of any tyrant in the world.
Everyone was very happy that Twitchell was gone. We're still happy today that he's gone.
Wow. Did y'all catch that? I told y'all Louisiana is just as racist as rural Mississippi and rural Alabama and Georgia. He's happy he's gone. He said, we won this day. Of course. They took all the black people out of power in the city. Don't let that TikTok, that Instagram, oh, Louisiana different. No, we not. New Orleans is different. No, it's not. Ain't never been and ain't gonna never be. He said we still are to this day. That was big. That was huge.
After 10 tumultuous years, Reconstruction died in 1877 in a backroom deal in Washington. The outcome of the presidential election a year before had been bitterly disputed. The two parties came to a secret compromise. Southern Democrats agreed to accept a Republican in the White House. In return, the Republicans agreed to abandon Reconstruction.
the whole Civil War and Reconstruction process had been characterized by a deep ambivalence on the part of the North. And that ambivalence by the late 1870s, has crystallized into let's cut our losses and get out. And the best thing is to leave this to the people who know best how to handle it.
B.W. Marston took Marshall Twitchell's seat as state senator.
Of course.
The North won the war. In Northwest Louisiana, we won Reconstruction.
On April 24th, 1877, a crowd lined the streets of New Orleans as the last of the federal troops stationed there marched towards the steamship that would take them away. The jeers were deafening. Someone let out a rebel yell. The retreat of the North left blacks across the South feeling betrayed and deeply in danger.
What up, BCU, Big Chief, legendary Big Chief Top Cats? What up? What up? What you doing? What you doing? Thank you for the super chat. Hey, boo boo, what it do? Man, I can't call it, just cooling or whatever the case may be. You feel me? Shout out to BCU in the building, man. Shout out to Big Chief, legendary Big Chief Top Cats, man. Make sure y'all go pull up over there. I'm telling you. Make sure y'all go pull up over there. My nigga really like heavy in these streets. Like heavy. Yep, 1877 Compromise Act. And let me say this too when it comes to if you want to come up, Chief, let me know. I'll drop the link for you if you want to come up. But look, let me say this, man. I think our first problem was trying to work with them people. That's what I believe. And I still see it to this day when we talk about voting and all types of stuff. I think our biggest problem is trying to work with them. That's our biggest problem. We too friendly and we always trying to work with these people. I think that's the first way, like that's the gateway into failure for our culture, for our people, because nobody cares about us but us. I don't care who it is. They got some people who are nice people, but literally nobody cares about us except us. And every time we try to mix in and blend in and work with them folks, we get played like a mug. All right, Big Chief, you want to come up here? Let me drop the link for Chief, because you can give us some more clarity on around this time. But yeah, I just don't understand that. Like, come on, man. I don't know when we're gonna figure that out. I just really don't know. And that's why they wanted Malcolm X up out of here, because he wasn't talking about really dealing with them. Not like Booker T, old lame ass. Old Freemason ass, because I feel like Booker T was saying it, and maybe he believed it, but he still was one of them people. You see what I'm saying? But I'm talking about in the sense of like we're not gonna get anything out of these folks. They don't. You're gonna run across some nice people, just like the Twitchell man who just was unalive. But the fact of the matter are, if we want help, we got to do it ourselves. We just can't. But that's messed up. Let me get back in real quick so we can finish this off.
You fight a bloody war and you set people on the road to freedom. And then when they make an effort to establish themselves, that road is pulled out from under them and they are left to the people who are their enemies.
Marshall Twitchell moved back to Vermont. Fitted with artificial arms, he was made a consul to Canada in 1878. After Louisiana, he found his quiet life unnerving. Fan Butler married an Englishman. She tried to keep the plantations afloat, but eventually gave up and moved to Britain in 1877. John Roy Lynch managed to stay in politics for another 20 years, and wrote an impassioned defense of Reconstruction. He died in Chicago in 1939. Tunis Campbell's enemies finally caught up with him. He was sent to a convict labor camp for a year, then fled Georgia.
Hey,
He died in Boston.
Remember I told y'all about the convict leasing? Look, see when them Puerto Ricans, them lame ass mob talking about, oh, we helped build America. No, you didn't. What they did was they was capturing Negroes by putting their doggone ass in jail or prison at the time, and they were sentenced to hard labor. That's literally, don't it look like that, Miss Parker? Like the movie Life. We were just talking about that yesterday. There's a lot of truth in these movies. You just got to be able to dissect it. So putting these people in jail was a win-win for the cities or the states, because like, remember, Boaz said, well, he said, is this true? He was like, well, at least the state of Mississippi got a good labor up out of them. That's what this was all about. That's what this is all about. And that's what they did. And they continue to do it to this day. It's just that now they don't have to necessarily do all the hard labor, but they still, they're a commodity, a quantity. Like every person makes these people money. Why you think Michael Jordan invested into prisons and all that, just like the rest of the clears? You feel me? Like y'all gotta, it's deep, it's so much deeper than what we see. So now Tunis goes to prison and he over there helping build railroads and digging ditches and things. State of Mississippi, don't give a damn about your feelings, your intergalactical feelings. We just need this here ditch dig by sundown. Remember he said that on the video? Don't that look like that scene? That's crazy.
In July 1913, more than 50,000 Civil War veterans gathered on the battlefield at Gettysburg. Gray-bearded soldiers, North and South, joined to mark the 50th anniversary of the battle.
You know what bothers me? You know what bothers me about the Civil War memories? They don't never show you no Negroes when we were the most in the doggone war. Even at the Civil War Museum in New Orleans, if y'all ever get a chance to go see it, don't. But anyway, if you do, they don't even mention any black people. Like it's all the clears. It's all the clears. And again, they write the history. So they make it seem like, oh yeah, it was just the clears, and yeah, they had a couple Negroes in there. No. So they do stuff like this. Oh yeah, a bunch of veterans met up where the Negroes was, because it was a whole heap of them. A whole heap of them. I got family fought in the Civil War on our land in our graveyard to this day, 2024. In the family graveyard, I got tombstones that say people done fought down in the Civil War. So come on, man, what you talking about? And I'm talking about on the side of the South, not on the side of the North. On the side of the South. What we talking about? That's crazy, bro.
Kind of bond that came from being soldiers in the war, regardless of which side they had been on. They're celebrating their youth. They're celebrating their glory of bravery. They're celebrating the fact that the American nation had come back together.
The poetry of the moment was irresistible. Bitter enemies reconciled. A nation made whole once more. No one there seemed to notice that there were no black veterans in the crowd.
Oh.
That reunion comes at the cost of black liberty and black freedom. It also comes through a very clever process of rewriting history.
The Southern legend of the lost cause had prevailed.
By the turn of the century, an image of Reconstruction has been fixed in the American consciousness, both North and South, as a terrible mistake, a travesty of democracy. And according to this image, African Americans were given these rights they were unprepared for. Therefore, there was this period of terrible misgovernment.
great changes take time. And this is a great experiment in biracial democracy. But one of the tragedies of Reconstruction is that it only lasted such a short period of time.
By 1913, many of the rights won by African Americans during Reconstruction had been taken away. Segregation was the norm, and lynching epidemic. But some of what they had built amid the turmoil of Reconstruction had survived. Communities, schools, and churches.
Over the next several generations, Black Americans never let up in their desire to be full American citizens.
The idea of being a Black congressman did not die. The idea of being a Black justice of the...
Hey, my boy fresh, huh? He fresh, ain't he? His lineup a little sketchy, but maybe they was just figuring it out. My boy, he fresh, ain't he?
Peace.
Oh, and let's be clear, these are engines too. The engines are, all the engines don't look like the long silky hair. These are pure blood engines right here.
Or superintendent of the schools did not die.
Oh.
That ideal of America where there was equality, of a South where there was opportunity, never died. And all across the 20th century and emerging in this great civil rights movement, we see the legacy of Reconstruction. It took generations to play out, but it never died.
Man, let me tell you something. You know, Kiki, baby, it's funny you say that, but that's what they do. That's why I say it's got to be some witchcraft going on. She said the idea of original people being citizens is crazy. It's the gaslighting. It's the make them forget, keep them propagandized so that they won't be going into stuff and they won't see that Abraham Lincoln really was a Negro who was for the Black people. I ain't gonna say for the Black people, but he was a Negro in the presidential, an engine in the that I know of in the presidential perspective. They don't want you to know that because they don't want you to even have those aspirations. Like that's not up for debate. They don't want you to even think that you can. They say they do, but they don't really want that. They don't want none of that, actually. Thank you, Blair Edwards, for the super chat. OMG Vu, I watched the documentary. Someone mentioned that Fall of the Cabal with a C. That ish has me right there with you questioning everything. I keep forgetting to watch that. Let me hold on. Fall of the Cabal with a C. I thought I put that in my notes. I need to watch that because I was looking for something to watch while I be braiding my hair. Fall of the, how do you spell it? Cabal. Girl, why my thing auto-corrected to Kamala? Girl, no ma'am. With a C. Yeah, I gotta watch it. I hadn't watched it yet. Blair, I'm gonna watch it though. Because I gotta finish braiding my hair sometime tonight too. So I'm gonna put it on my phone and watch it. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, listen, we supposed to question everything. I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. So I was watching Hitler yesterday. I don't know why. I love world history. I love history, period. And my mama had gave this perspective. I asked my mama after I watched like about 2 or 3 documentaries. I said, "What you think about Hitler? And what do you know about him?" And my mama told me that allegedly he was the bastard child of the Rothschild. And long story short, it was a family feud, and he never unalived. But after that, this morning I go on YouTube and I find, did you guys know that the Nazi people raided the Freemasons, like the hub of the Freemasons in France? Did y'all know that? Did you know that Hitler directed his Nazi camp? And I'm not a pro-Hitler person. I'm just saying he directed his Nazi camp to raid and find information on the Freemason stuff. Did y'all know that? I didn't know that until this morning. I didn't know that. I say this all the time. Every time they tell you to like a person is just horrible, just go look into him. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying that he's great. I don't know. But it came along with my mama theory that he was the bastard child and they cut him off. And I'm just long story short, and they had a beef. And Hitler was like, I'm going to tell all this shit now. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm leaving here with something type tease. But he sure did had the Nazis go into and raid the capital of the Freemasons in France. And they found all type of information and all type of stuff. And then all of a sudden, it disappeared. Remember, the Freemasons are the ones who started America as we know it. So, tight tees, you know what I mean? But nevertheless, I just wanted to throw that in there. I done seen some craziness. I done seen some real craziness. French Coco, thank you for the super chat. I'm sorry. Hey now, here for Educational Friday. I just love this, boo. Oh, thank you so much, French Coco. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Love. Thank you for the super chat. Marae Gold, how you doing, mama? I appreciate your, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your many hats that you share with us. The best reactions, comedian, teacher, and my favorite. Oh, conspiracy theorist. Yes, I was thinking about that today. I need me a hat and a shirt that say proud conspiracy theorist. I want everybody to know I'm a conspiracy theorist. I go crazy. Thank you for the super chat, Marae. And April LeBlanc, thank you for the super sticker. Now, let me say this. We've always fought back, and I always thought that it was some kind of like other stuff going on to make us docile, but I think the biggest thing that made us docile was the civil rights movement, the We Shall Overcome tease. When we had Malcolm X saying, y'all got black people out here looking a damn fool, getting they behind whipped and beat up by police, popped, jailed. Y'all need to be fighting for your own liberty and separating from these folk. They quieted his voice down and elevated Martin. He's in my opinion, the major reason why, as a masses, we are as docile as we are today. Had that not happened the way that it did, and church too, because remember, it's all a bunch of, listen, a lot of y'all pastors, especially then, were Freemasons, so they got the doctrine and they pushed it out. So it was church, school, but that civil rights movement through them kids, because remember, that's our grandmothers. That's my grandmother. I'm 40. Yeah, that was my grandmother's era. They hella like, you better let them white folks, you know what I'm saying, type tees. The white folks, because that was they were children in that era, or at least young adults in that era. So it was like a brainwashing for us so that we wouldn't rebel. But the thing is, we still rebelled after that, and then they hurry up and got us up out of there. Let me show you. Shout out to Hezekiah News. He be sharing some real fire old school documentaries. And when I saw this, I said, I gotta show this to the people. Here comes the Black Panthers, because now we mad again. You see what I'm saying? Y'all done got rid of Malcolm. Y'all done got rid of Martin. We fed up. We tired. We taking care of our own, making the free breakfast program. My grandmother's sister actually was a Black Panther. I should get her on here sometime to come and tell y'all her experience. But she ended up quitting nevertheless because they had a shootout in the project. And she said she didn't join for that. She joined to help the churn. But nevertheless, they ended up having a shootout and she quit. But listen. We started going back to our old ways, and they hurry up and put an end to that. Why you think they got rid of what's his face? Fred Hampton. Look, check this out. Watch this lady. Love her down. Look.
You crack people's head. What you care about the police? You didn't care about that, hey, man. I'm not nobody. Sorry, man. I'm paying for that.
See, black people have been demonstrating and going on for I don't know how long, and we've been getting our heads beat and whatnot. We knew what was going to happen when those folks went down there because we have seen the pigs on the scene. We know what he's like. We know what he's capable of. Just being a damn pig, oinking and beating and walking the streets. I'm sick of these damn pigs walking our streets. And so everybody gets uptight when a few hunkies get their heads beat. What did they do when we was getting our heads beat? So I don't even want to deal with why they got their heads beat. No damn Walker reporting up whatever else that's going on. I just want to deal with black and black liberation. My scene is picking up my damn gun, and I'm a mother. Have my baby in one hand, my gun in the other, and walking up to some hunky, all hunkies, saying, I'm here, motherfucker, to get what's mine. Right on.
When I tell you that was so motivating, she said, got my baby in one hand and my gun in the other. She said, go up to not just one, all of them, and say, I'm here, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I when I saw that, I was just like, wow. And this is in Chicago, by the way. This is Black residents taking back Chicago. Again, we got them YNs out here. They just have misplaced, aggression. If they just if we knew how to guide these Negroes, it would be different. But yeah. Shout out to Chicago, man. I just wanted to show y'all that. But I do want to show you guys something else. Hold on. Now we're gonna move into the second portion of this video. So before we get on Franz Boaz, and we'll kind of like jump around into history as we always done. But before we get on Franz Boaz, I wanted to show y'all something. We've been called many things. And again, this is just a snapshot. This is not just like for real what it was, but this is a snapshot of the few things or the many names we've been called. Now, we all know 1492 when Columbus sailed the ocean blue, Tites, or whatever the case may be. Even though he didn't land in North America, they're going to use that as the starting point of them clears coming over here, or them Europeans, because they could have been Negropeans too, coming over here doing whatever it is they because they say Christopher Columbus was black. Let's start there first, and it makes sense because the original Europeans were black. Shansia, thank you for the super chat. The way I just got excited. Yes, Acorn, you saw that lady, huh? Cutting up. She was so beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. But look, when they first got here, they called us Indians. Around the 1600s, we became slaves. The late 1500s, early 1600s, that's when, and again, it wasn't all of us, but there was some of us that became slaves. Then in 1832, that's around the time that Andrew Jackson came along, who everybody knew hated Indians. Everybody knew that. He just despised them. He wanted to really get rid of all of us, but he couldn't. So he decided to go into what we call paper genocide. And then we went from Indians to Negroes. Now, a lot of stuff happened in between, but that's where the Negro name come in. And let me also say this. If your parents was born, I want to say 70s on beyond, their birth certificate should say Negro. Yeah. Oh, I want to say the 70s and on back, because I know I'm in the 80s and I'm an African American. Yeah, I'm in 83 and mine say African American. So these are some of the names in some sort of a timeline. Again, I can't confirm nor deny right now, but here's some sort of a timeline of how we were misclassified and how we get to where we are. Even making up the new name Foundational Black America, we're just adding to the timeline instead of going back to see who we were before. I mean, I'm here for FBA, but I'm just saying, when you add to the timeline, you further confuse us, I like that Marcel, I believe his name, said he wanted to go back to freedmen. I like that title, because at least we were actually recognized under that title, but neither here nor there. Listen. So according to this, 1832 Negro, 1900 Negro, 1950 colored, 1965 black, 1970 Afro-American, 1980 black, 88 African-American, 99 minority, 2000 black, 2017 Black American, and now I'm pretty sure history is going to add in foundational Black American. The more we keep adding on to our names, the more confused the people after us will be. That's my opinion. I don't know this to be fact. This is just me going on my opinion. I think that if we do our genealogy, we're going to see that we all have different lineage to this man. We have very different lineage. Okay. My tribe, Suma tribe, may not be anybody here on the chat, or maybe one person, but everybody ain't Cherokee, everybody ain't Blackfoot, boom, boom, boom. But if we were to classify ourselves as a race or as a group of people who were there prior to, or at least when the colonizers got off the boat, I think, in my opinion, this is just me. Again, I'm not the smartest tool in the box. I just know common sense. That's all I know is common sense. But I would think that we will go back to something that was at least recognized, like the earliest thing we were recognized at, because that will probably put us closer to who and what we are. Obviously, I wouldn't say slave, because who wants to be, because all of us weren't slaves first. Who wants to be recognized as a slave? But my thing is, at least if we can go backwards instead of moving forward, we'll start to understand how we got here and where we are. That's what I believe, because we still have a lot of people that think we come off a boat from Africa. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. I just wanted to show y'all that. Now, also, let me stop sharing that. I want to go into Fran's Boaz, not since we're on the topic of how we get here, right? So I don't know if you guys are familiar with before we go to Fran's Boaz, really quickly, let me show y'all something. Watch out. Let me show y'all something right quick. Watch out. We about to get into Fran's Boaz. Look. Y'all remember this, right? Let me put it up here. Get the likes up on the video. Please like the video, guys. Love y'all. Please like the video. Y'all remember this, right? From that documentary we watched yesterday. Now, this is what we know. What we know is there was some sort of witchcraft / sorcery going on with the founding fathers of this nation. Unfortunately, but we got to say it, some of our people were involved. It would not be able to happen without some of us. It does not exist without some of us. So some of our people were involved. Today we see them as so-called Freemasons, right? Freemasons are still around loud and proud today. Now, just like anything else, there are levels to things. So if your cousin like mine is a Freemason, he may or may not know what the hell going on. You know what I mean? However, hold on, I'm trying to find. However, these people, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm searching and looking. All right. No, not them. Well, they might have it on theirs. But however, these people are still prevalent in our society. So I was online, minding my business, chilling, minding my business. And I saw that there was a parade in the city. And in this parade, like you see most of the time in New Orleans for parades, but not just there, just period. I saw this. Hold on. Because remember, these people are involved in this. Let's be clear. Let's really be clear about that. Look. He looked clear. Now, mind you, this is the Civil Rights Parade. See, it be so much in your face, it's a slap in the face, right? So you got the Freemasons who lead really every Mardi Gras and every doggone parade we have, to be completely honest. And I never thought about it until literally just now. But they lead all of these parades, and they always at the front are the Shriners. The Shriners are always at the front. That's typically the old clear men. But they always lead these parades, and it's symbolic to we are leading all of this. Like literally, all of this is we're in control of this. Now, again, it may not be individually, obviously. You know what I'm saying? It's just smacking in our face. You see what I'm saying? As you can see. And the uniform ain't never changed. The uniform was like that back then. So I just wanted to show y'all that. Now, moving on. Now, let's get into France Boaz, and I want to go to Dane Calloway. Shout out to the Big Chief Dane. Because I want to talk about how we get here. How did we get to this whole racial thing? Well, you can think a guy named France Boaz. Let me go get him up here. Now, again, you can only go so far with what you got, right? And this is from the Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica. We're going to go over a little bit of history of him. And we're going to get into how a clear man, even then and to this day, are telling us our history. They the ones telling us that we African. Like, it's not an old folklore in the family. None of that. The oldest person in your family who tell you we from Africa got it from somewhere. Because I remember telling my grandma, I said, Grandma, even though my grandmother tell you one side of her mouth, we Suma, she said, but I know long before that we came from Africa. And I said, well, how did you first hear? Where were you and how were you? How did you first hear about it? Did you hear from your parents? She said, no. She said one day she went to church and it was in a pamphlet at church. That's how my grandma found out about Africa. Through church. On a pamphlet. But remember, the Freemasons run church too. Okay? So it really kind of messed my grandma up because she know we Indian because she the one told me what the tribe was. But she still is under the impression that we come from Africa because that indoctrination. Okay? So it's crazy. It's crazy. That's how it works. The Freemasons run the black church, they run the black schools, and that's how we continue to be misled. I'll just say that. Even to this day. So I want to get into, oh yes, Shaquana, the church girl. Yes, ma'am, the church. And did. Let's get into France Boaz, who was a German American anthropologist. He wasn't, well, none of them are from America, but let's get into it. Sorry, guys. All right, France Boaz, born July 9, 1858. Prussia, Germany, died December 22nd, 1942 in New York. Was a German-born American anthropologist of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the founder of relativistic, is that how you say that? Relativistic culture censored school of American anthropology that became dominant in the 20th century. And it says during his tenure at Columbia University in New York, 1899 and 1942, he developed one of the foremost departments of anthropology in the United States. Boaz was a specialist in Northern American Indian cultures. Hello? Are we paying attention? Boaz was a specialist in Northern American Indian cultures and language, but he was, in addition, the organizer of a profession and the great teacher of a number of scientists who developed anthropology in the United States, including A.L. Kroeber, Ruth Benedict, Margaret Mead, Melville Herskovitz. Is that how you? Yeah, Melville Herskovitz, who played a big part in a lot of this too, and Edward Sapir. Now, let me just say this. They found a clear from Germany, who was a self-proclaimed American Indian specialist. And he was the one who's going to give us the hierarchies and things of that nature. Let that sink in. Boaz was the son of a merchant. I'm sorry. He was of delicate health as a child and spent much of his time with books. Crap, I went down too far. His parents were free-thinking liberals, of course, who held to the ideals of the Revolution of 1848. Although Jewish, he grew up feeling completely German. From the age of 5, he took an interest in natural sciences, botany, geography, zoology, geology, and astronomy. While studying it at the gymnasium in Minden, he became deeply interested in the history of culture. He followed his various intellectuals bents in his course in his course of studies at the universities of Heidelberg, Bonn, and Kiel, receiving a PhD in physics and geography at Kiel in 1881. After years of military service, Boaz continued his studies in Berlin, then undertook a year-long scientific expedition to Baffin Island in 1883 to 1884. Firmly interested now in human cultures, he took post in the Ethnological Museum in Berlin and of the Faculty of Geography at the University of Berlin. Now, here's his career in America. So in 1886, on his way back from a visit to Kwakiku, and other tribes of British Columbia, which became a lifelong study, he stopped in New York and decided to stay. He found a position as an editor in the magazine Science. It says Boaz's first teaching position was the newly found Clark University at Worcester, Massachusetts in 1889. Next, he spent a period in Chicago where he assisted in the preparation and anthropology exhibitions at the 1893 Columbian Exposition, and held a post at the Field Museum of Natural History. In 1896, he became lecturer in physical anthropology, and in 1899, professor of anthropology in Columbia University. From 1896 to 1905, he was also a curator of anthropology at the American Museum of Natural History in New York. In that capacity, he directed and edited the reports submitted by the Jessup North Pacific Expedition, an investigation of the relationships between indigenous peoples of Siberia and of North America. So he's basically over there studying the Siberian indigenous people and the North American indigenous people. Mind you, he's from Germany, but he's some sort of expert. Sure, this is all a scheme tie setup, okay? Let's really be clear. From his earliest years in America, Boaz was an innovative, prodigiously productive scholar, contributing equally to the statistical, physical anthropology, descriptive and theatrical linguistics, and Native American ethnology. I can't talk. Including important studies of folklore and art. His personal research contributions alone. Why I can't read? Let me slow down, because I'm seeing stuff that ain't there. His personal research and contributions alone would have given him an important place in the history of anthropology, but he also exerted enormous influence as a teacher. By the turn of the century, national leadership in anthropology was firmly in Boaz's hand, and in 1906, at the age of 48, he was presented with the Festschrift volume of tributes, usually awarded by his colleagues to a scholar nearing retirement. The 36 years that followed were no less productive, influential, and honored. Boaz established the International Journal of American Linguistics, was one of the founders of the American Anthropological Associations, and served as president 1931 of the American Association of for the Advancement of Science. Now, I want to get into where he started with this this whole hierarchy thing, right? So in 1911, Boaz published The Mind of Primitive Man, a series of lectures on culture and race. It was often referred to the 1920s by those who were opposed to the new U.S. immigration restrictions based on presumed racial differences. So basically what was happening is America was only letting in who they wanted to. They wasn't letting a lot of Italians actually were the ones who came at the very late, because they didn't want them in either. They treated them like Negroes too. Okay. But that's what was going on then. It was often referred to in the 1920s by those who were opposed to the U.S. immigration restrictions based on presumed racial differences. In the 1930s, the Nazis in Germany burned the book and rescinded his PhD degree, which Kiel University had in 1931 ceremonial reconfirmed. The Nazis was cutting up, huh? Boaz updated and enlarged the book in 1937. Other books by Boaz included Primitive Art, 1927, and Race, Language, and Culture in 1940. After his retirement in 1936, Boaz responded to the Spanish Civil War and the steadily growing strength of the Nazis in Germany by putting his anthropological ideas about racism into popular journal articles, some of which were collected after his death in Race and Democracy, Democratic Society, 1945, and reissued in 1969. The revolutionary significance of Boaz's work is best understood in historical terms, although almost all anthropologists through time have believed that humans comprise one species. That humans comprise one species. Few scholars of the early 20th century believed that the various races showed equal capacity for cultural development. It is largely because of Boaz's influence that anthropologists and other social scientists from the mid-20th century onward believed that differences among the races were a result of historically particular events rather than physiological destiny, and that race itself was a culture construct. Within this common framework, there have sometimes been differences in view as to the actual attainment of particular peoples. Some anthropologists, often calling themselves evolutionary, argue that some people have achieved higher states of culture, leaving behind, at least temporarily, other peoples. They believe that the differences between civilized and primitive peoples are the results of environmental, cultural, and historical circumstances. Other anthropologists, frequently called cultural relativists, argue that the evolutionary view is ethnocentric, deriving from a human disposition to characterize groups other than one's own inferior, and that all surviving human groups have evolved equally, but in different ways. Let me say this before we move on. Studying psychology, I learned that all of those so-called scholars were dumb clear men who just was throwing around ideas. That's literally all they were. Dumb clear men who people didn't know nothing. So they looked, the powers that be said, hey, these are the smart people. And the people just took their words and ran with it. But they were really, really stupid. Like extremely dumb. Like it's not even close how stupid these people were. Thank you, Tiff, for becoming a new member. So when they call these people scholars and all this stuff, them people weren't no damn scholars. They was just people around there with theories and guesses and things of that nature. That's literally all it was. A bunch of clear men sitting around guessing and making up racist stuff. Franz Boas was the second persuasion since British and the U.S. anthropologists in the last third of the 19th century were not particularly disposed to this view. Boas's success in making it overwhelmingly dominant was all the more remarkable. While he had originally assumed as a natural scientist that universal law must exist that would explain how different people would wound up with their characteristic ways of life, it says he concluded that the problem was too complex for any general solutions. And it says laws of cultural causation, he argued, had to be discovered rather than assumed. Boas' views required the anthropologist to be capable of understanding all factors that might influence the histories of peoples. Thus, to assert that cultural differences are not the result of biological differences, one must know something of biology. And to see the interrelations of humans in their environments, the anthropologist must understand such things as migration, nutrition, child-raising customs, and disease, as well as movement and interrelations of people in their cultures. Anthropology then becomes holistic and eclectic, involved in any field of science or scholarship that appears relevant to a particular problem. All right. I think this is it. Yeah, I think this is it. All right. Because I want to get into Dane's video. But before we get into Dane's video, let me say this. Again, when we learned about Freud, Sigmund Freud, and all these crazy people, them people ain't know what the hell they were talking about. They really didn't. And if you ask me, they were all probably Freemasons, and they were all told to do what they did just so things can end up the way they do. You got to understand, the people who are really in charge of this and the so-called forefathers, they thought hundreds of years down the line. That's how they were. They are so successful still to this day. Them people thought way down the line. Way. Hey, I need you to say this. Well, it doesn't make sense. I know it don't, but it will in 200 years. Do this, bye, like that. And they still like that to this day. These people with these theories, I know one of the papers or one of the discussions we had in college was proving that basically you had to pick an old philosopher and prove that their theories were wrong, given what was happening in the prior or after that and what's happening today. And literally every single one of these so-called scholars were proven wrong in every single theory. Every single one of them. Because it's just like me and you having a conversation like, oh, well, I think black people are funny because of the bones. And then somebody like, well, not really. I think they're funny because of the culture. It's just a bunch of that. And here's the person who's going to be the one who's in charge of telling us, right, that we're black, they white, boom, 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 boom. And there's a hierarchy that we need to follow. This is the person, okay? I think this is it right here. Y'all get the likes. So we're about to get into Dane's video. Shout out to Chief Dane Calloway. I can't talk. What is wrong with me? I just can't. Let the play. Y'all get the likes up on the video. We're about to get into Dane. He's gonna further go into detail about this Franz Boaz person. He knows we're talking about the big chief right here. A very intelligent person. If y'all haven't followed Dane by now, please get over there. I'm telling you now, please get over there. Let's get into Dane and what he had to say.
Look, 100 years after 100 years, they done lied to us about this and that. Told that's a fact. My other book, get it from where the hit let it miss you. I make it simple.
I mean,
it's really important for us to remember our history. You know, the first Americans, you came from someplace else. Somebody brought you.
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Before we move on, remember I told y'all, I said Trump be talking in code. Remember I told y'all, Trump ain't as dumb as people think he is. Y'all remember when I showed y'all that video when Trump signed that protection for American Indians and he tapped that lady hand? I'm about to see if I can go get it. The black lady hand. Y'all remember that? Now I'm gonna play him back. American Indian. Let me see if I can find it on here. I'm gonna play that back. Watch when I find this video when Trump signed in that Protection Act for American Indians and he tapped that black lady hand and he held it. Who was on the chat? Who was in here when we looked at that? And I was like, see, that nigga slick as hell. Hold on. I hate not, because I didn't think about this. I had done shared it, but it was a long time ago. Let me see. It was him surrounded by a bunch of people, and it was a black woman who gave him the paper to sign it. And when he signed it, he kept tapping on the lady's hand when they were talking about how I was going to protect America. Here you go. Is this it? I don't think this is it. Hold on. I'm mad I can't find it. But when he be saying crazy stuff like, oh, I know what the Indians like, and the Indians know what the Indians look like, and you don't look like any of them to me. And he was talking about the people who were approving the reservations. I'm going to find it. Hold on. Let me let y'all, I'm going to run it back and let y'all run through it because I don't want to be too long on here. Hold on.
You've approved. You, sir, in your great wisdom, have approved. That probably is me, absolutely. Because I tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom, have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. When you go up to Connecticut and you look, now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
You don't have to live in the slums to care, Melanie. You don't have to try to be something you're not.
God, I can't stand this. Trying to be something I'm not? Trying to be proud of my African heritage? That's being something I'm not, then fine. That's being something I'm not, then fine. I'd rather be dead than be like you. Stuck-up nigger who's ashamed of being black.
My grandmother was a full-blooded Iroquois. Was a full-blooded Iroquois. Was a full-blooded Iroquois. Was a full-blooded Iroquois. Was a full-blooded Iroquois.
I know all of that, Mama.
They don't know this. I am alive because of the blood of a people who never scraped or begged or apologized for what they were. They asked only one thing of this world: to be allowed to be. And I learned through the blood of these people that black isn't beautiful.
It isn't ugly. It isn't kinky hair. It isn't straight hair. Black is just black. It broke my heart when you changed your name. I gave you my grandmother's name, a woman who bore 9 children and educated them all. Who held off 6 white men with a shotgun when they tried to drag one of her sons off to jail for not knowing his place. And you, African dictionary, to find a name that would make you proud.
Okay, everyone. Now, as I've stated numerous times before, I am well aware that many of you were taught to believe line after line in today's society of America concerning this topic and various types of correlating information by design. But I would like for you to note that the actual quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions you ask. The so-called African Americans of today's society are yet still struggling to come to grips with their true identities, cultures, heritage, and especially their actual history, simply because of how they were taught to believe in a fictitious story that claimed that all people of color in America are somehow descendants of Africans. The problem with this story is that there is no verifiable evidence of it actually being truthful information. I'll get into why here shortly. And yet, there are many so-called blacks or so-called African Americans that are willing to go to their graves with a very strong belief in this falsified information. See, this is why I single-handedly write, edit, and produce my content for viewers like yourself, in hopes that you would take the initiative to literally note all of the information that I present throughout my content, so that you may be inspired to conduct your own research using those same key factors manifested within my works. Now, with all of that being said, let's go back in time a little to where this fictitious propaganda was cultivated and implemented into our mindsets as a fact of one-sided historic information. Melville Jean Herskovich was born on September 10th, 1895, in Bellefontaine, Ohio, to two Jewish immigrant parents who immigrated from parts of Europe to North America during the mid-1800s. His mother, Henrietta Hart, was an immigrant from Germany, and his father, Herman Herskovich, was an immigrant from Hungary. Before becoming a teenager, the family moved to El Paso, Texas in 1905. Then, soon after his mother abruptly passed away from a mysterious illness, Melville and his father moved to Erie, Pennsylvania, where Melville later graduated from Erie Senior High School in 1912.
I find it funny, like I say, all these clear people coming from everywhere else writing in history who we are. Like, make it make sense. None of these clear, well, obviously none of them were here, but they coming from elsewhere, and they're the progenitors of who we are in our culture. I just find that odd. This is an old video from a few years ago, so Dane didn't cut his hair. It's an old video. I think it's like 3 years old.
Melville began his college studies at the University of Cincinnati, while simultaneously taking rabbinical studies at the Hebrew Union College, Cincinnati campus, as traditionally suggested by his family, being as though the college is a Jewish institution of religion. When the United States involved themselves in the conflict known as World War I on July 28, 1914, history loves to state that Melville allegedly quelled his studies to enlist in the, quote, Army's Medical Corps and headed off to Europe. Now, keep in mind that his mother was from Germany and his father from Hungary, in which both places, including Bulgaria and the Ottoman Empire, fought against Russia, Italy, France, Japan, Romania, Great Britain, and of course, the United States. What's very noteworthy here is which side of the conflict Melville allegedly subscribed to, because there is no actual records of him enrolling in the United States Army in the first place.
Probably did.
Yeah, and I'm just getting started here. Now, when he returned to North America, Melville transferred to the University of Chicago at a time where anthropology was heavily influenced by the deceitful hidden agendas of industrialism, along with political European colonialism, where pseudoscientific theories were not only praised by one particular group of people, but justified for its subjugation of all non-people. Before World War I began, in a speech directed to accredited businessmen, President Woodrow Wilson stated that henceforth public policy will be geared to providing a public education tailored to producing industrial workers who did not question orders and were skilled in only basic manual labors, and that a liberal education will be reserved only for a small elite. By the early 1900s, American industrialists recognized that compulsory public education was the most useful.
I'm dropping it right now, Chief. Thank you for the super chat. I'm dropping it right now. I was looking for you. I was like, he said, all right, he never came back. I'm about to drop it right now. Hold on. I'm going to let this run. I'm about to drop it right now for you. Come on up when you're ready.
Useful means to socially engineer the American population to suit the purposes of industrial capitalism.
local networks of corporate foundations, university education and psychological departments, educational accrediting boards, and governmental agencies arose to oversee the implementation of the blueprint for this ambitious but yet so devastatingly evil social engineering project. These entities included organizations such as the Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation, the Columbia Teachers College, the University of Chicago, the National Training Labs, the National Education Association, and the U.S. Office of Education, now known as the Department of Education. Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, John D. Rockefeller, and Henry Ford were the key contributors and introductional architects of this American educational system of forced schooling.
I just find that to be so crazy. They all coming from Europe, German, Jewish. Rockefeller is one of the main key components, obviously Henry Ford and all these rich clear men, and they're going to be the people in charge of education in America. Mind you, this can't happen without the Black Freemasons and the Black people as well. Like, and they're going to be the people teaching thus far. Like, crazy times. I dropped the link, Top Cats. I don't know where you at. I think I may have caught you too late. I don't know.
D. Baker, an author and a cultural anthropologist out of Duke University, he admitted that the 19th century physical anthropologists drew specious correlations between anatomical features and supposed behavioral traits of the various races. So in other words, these immigrants of Jewish or other European or African descent of the 19th century, or rather the 1800s, purposely created and cultivated the science of anthropology with highly regarded racial discriminatory, very identical to the pseudoscientific concepts designed and utilized by Francis Galton that he called eugenics, right along with his predecessor, Charles Darwin, with his theory of evolution and natural selection, in which I mentioned more about this on my documentary called What's the Real Identity of an African American? I highly recommend that you watch that video as well. Now, getting back to Melville, he abruptly halted his studies at the Hebrew Union College and then moved on to complete his graduate studies at Columbia University. What's very important to note here is while working on his master's and PhD, Melville found himself under the guidance of his professor named Franz Boaz, a German immigrant from Minden, Germany, who migrated to North America during the year of 1887. Franz Yuri Boaz was considered to be the sole author of American anthropology. In fact, he was dubbed as the grandfather of American anthropology by his self-proclaimed significant students, with Melville being one of them. As a professor of anthropology at Columbia University beginning in 1899, France heavily influenced many prominent people that we know of today, all the way up until his death on December 21st, 1942, and some of whom shares the same hue of complexion as you and I. France had his own hidden agenda, but history loves to paint the picture as if it was done for the better good, when in fact it was designed to upkeep the continuation of manipulative indoctrination. For example, France promoted an idea that Negroes residing in America are all somehow descendants of Africans in Africa, based solely on the fact that we all share the same hue of complexion. And that's it, meaning that's all of the evidence he had.
You know, that's a theory too, that the clear people saw us because we were black like the Africans, that they saw that's why they called us Africans. I don't believe that. I believe, because you got to understand, they had to have intel on who we were. They spied on us in America for a long, long time. I don't believe that they didn't know we were from Africa. They listen, I think that's the narrative they put out, because remember, they try to put us in a position where we super confused. But you're not about to tell me for 1 second Them people thought that we was from Africa with all that intel they had, because they have been spying on us for years and years prior to we got here. Big Chief in the building. Big Chief, what's up?
Turn up one time.
You a little low.
Hold on, my bad.
There
Let
you
me
go.
see. I ain't hooked my mic up, my bad.
You
Okay,
good?
okay. Mic check. Can you hear me?
What's up? What's up? What's up? I can hear you. You good?
Okay, okay. Peace, peace. Shout out to Voodoo. Shout out to the dog
You breaking up, Chief?
house.
He breaking up. You breaking up. I don't know if you can hear me. He's frozen. Yeah, Tip Renee, the narrative is that nobody can claim this country. We are immigrants. That's the narrative, so that they can keep stealing the land.
You know, digging the vibe.
You good? You back? Because you froze. We ain't hear
All
nothing.
right, come back to me. Let me see if I can get my life together.
Okay.
Mike said, I'm back.
Yeah, you back. You good.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I've been having a but yeah, I'm back. I'm just digging the vibes right now. Yeah,
What's
you on a
up?
good topic too. You know that I'm gonna let Dane finish cooking, and then you know I'm gonna drop a few bars on.
All right. Bet.
Say it
All right,
again.
let's get back to it. What'd you say? They might have a delay. All right.
Now we can turn
Now-
up.
All right. Let me let the ad play. Y'all get the likes on the video. Okay. All right, I got you.
All right.
Hey man, get the likes up on the video. We got Big Chief University in the building. Topcast, the big legendary Chief Topcast. We got Topcast in the building, man. Y'all got to get the likes up on the video. We about to get some real knowledge. You feel me? Shout out to Dane Calloway. Shout out to Mrs. Calloway, Tanisha Calloway. Shout out to Big Chief University and legendary Chief Topcast. Let's get back into the video.
This was the first time ever in history where people overheard
Why that boy mouth screwed up like that? He must have got that powder or something. He looked like he an inbred first, but that boy mouth, that's what made me turn my face up the first time.
rumors that Negroes are somehow Africans now. Then the Harvard-taught sociologist and one of the co-founders of the NAACP and the first so-called person of color to even earn a doctorate at this time, named W.E.B. Du Bois, took this fictitious idea to new heights, being a
They cannot do it without one of us helping. They can't.
as though he was considered to be a person of color, providing another side of social engineering influence amongst people that shared his same hue of complexion. In fact, Franz Boaz influenced W.E.B. Du Bois in his teachings, even while being a professor of sociology, economics, and history at Atlanta University. France taught and told Melville Herskovich, along with his other students, and even W.E.B. Du Bois, what to do and what not to do by.
I'll go back to it. You good, Chief?
Yeah, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah, you perfect. You perfect now. You perfect.
All right,
All right, Dane almost finished. Let me let him finish cooking, and we about to
Yeah,
get
we're
you
gonna
up.
let bro keep cooking.
All right.
Students and even W.E.B. Du Bois what to do and what not to do by sending private letters back and forth throughout the years of the early 1900s. Then soon after his fictitious idea transitioned into a plan, it was later implemented into U.S. history books systematically. But of course, France had assistance, and the majority of this assistance is credited to Melville, being as though he began to create the anthropometric studies of the so-called African Americans, while simultaneously releasing science fictional and general fictional books, like, for example, The Cattle Complex in East Africa in 1926. This science of anthropology dramatically changed once Melville introduced his Out of Africa theory, during a time when biological theories still prevailed in anthropology during the late 1920s, in which the underlying belief was that so-called blacks were genetically inferior to whites. Now, in order to draw all of the credit and attention to his own work for possible federal funding, Melville mysteriously but yet purposely had a falling out with W.E.B. Du Bois and began to state that Du Bois's work is inaccurate and filled with propaganda, sabotaging Du Bois's, quote, Encyclopedia Africana project by burning its credibility straight to the ground. Soon after that, Melville gained higher political power, then quickly received funding from wealthy private foundations and multiple federal government agencies, like the National Research Council, for example, which was established by special request from President Woodrow Wilson in 1916. What's very important to note here is Du Bois's reputation was purposely attacked by the same people that established it in the first place. In other words, Du Bois pledged himself under a form of order by a particular prominent group of wealthy Jews to help assist with manipulating the minds of those he could reach. And as soon as that goal was met, Du Bois's entire operation was shut down. And even Du Bois himself tried his very best to bring multiple prominent people of color down along with him. Side note, you would consistently see Du Bois and Booker T. Washington side by side for a very particular reason. And by the way, it is not a coincidence that soon after these so-called black men visited each and every prosperous Black Wall Street across America, these areas dubbed as Negro or Black Wall Streets were immediately destroyed in more ways than just one. Now, around this time, Melville was single-handedly emerging as an iconic figure in America. But the so-called funding that he received that I mentioned earlier was not to help him with researching and discovering publicly verifiable evidence, as the story loves to claim. No, the funding was yet an advancement of his salary, set up for him to be paid to create and produce a story that millions of people were unfamiliar with. What I mean by that is, Melville is solely responsible for expanding the lies of storytelling, in which in turn it was later considered to be American history, by completely reversing the records of historic information by creating a fictional story about African slaves immigrating to the Americas by way of the Spaniards during the 1500s. This story is known as the Middle Passage. However, prior to Melville's fictional story, no information existed in history that clearly mentioned that the so-called Negroes of the American lands literally came from Africa. It was said that Melville allegedly took a trip to somewhere in Africa, meaning that there is absolutely no record of this, just a story, gathered up a few artifacts from there, observed a few tribes and a few cultures, and dubbed it as Africanism, then traveled back to the U.S., wrote a book called The Myth of the Negro Past, and published it in 1942 in the fictional section, where he claimed that the people of color in America somehow lost connection with their cultural past during the Middle Passage from Africa to the Americas. So the question remains, why was Melville instructed and paid to create such a fictional story that was later dubbed as facts? Then, why would people that did not originate from this land, but fought and died to immigrate to it and colonize it, try to dominate your thinking by indoctrinating your mind into believing that you belong to somewhere other than your own home? And if you choose to believe it, you just may lose yourself and everything you own. Now, why is it important to tell you where your ancestors derived from? Because the truth lies in the knowledge of what this land really holds. And your children are the sole inheritors. But if you freely leave what is rightfully yours, then who becomes the beneficiary?
Shout out to Dane, man. Shout out to Dane. Before I get Chief up here, let me just say this. it's a perfect plan if you the colonizer, right? It really is, because if you the colonizer, you like, yo, if I get these people to start believing that they from somewhere else, then we got free rights, free reign to the land. And the thing is, after generation to generation, like niggas will fight you behind saying you ain't from Africa. I'm talking about niggas in America. And it's crazy to me. I never really understood that, because even as a little girl, like I said, when I was taught, and Chief, you could jump in on this too. When I was taught as a little girl that we came from Africa, now again, I had never seen no Africa. We ain't had no Africans in New Orleans. So when they told us we were from Africa, I ain't never had no connection to that shit. Like I was just like, Africa? Well, what part? Nobody could ever tell us. Like it just never made sense to me. And when I first met my first African after Hurricane Katrina in Atlanta 2005, I was like, that nigga, he ain't me. Like I knew off the cuff. Like what you think?
Nah, that's real talk. You know, when I lived in Dubai, you know, I'm trying to be around them, but quote unquote black folks. So most of them was Africans, but off the top, they gonna let you know, they respect you more when you standing on American business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, because they know you ain't no African. And but see, even with the conversation that's being had now with like Boaz, so Boaz I wouldn't give him the case because it was Melville, Melville Herskovich. It was his idea, you know what I mean? So basically, Boaz got the funding. You know, he was an underling of Boaz, and so he basically brought him in. But there was a branch called the NRC that was with the eugenics movement. They were tied to the eugenics movement, but the eugenics movement mostly was directly going after like mulatto people as well. You know, they were trying to say that they were infertile, and so we know a lot of they wanted to stop breeding, and you can only have so many kids, and they were doing tests on the bodies, and making it where women can have children, different things of this nature. But when Boaz came in, he brought a team in with him, and one of those guys, Herskovich, he is the one who branched off and started this. Basically wanted to prove this notion that black Negroes in America basically had a culture and they derived from Africa. And so he set out to do that, but it was in the mix of that interracial gap that was in America. They were speaking about what is the biology of the Negro. This was a huge topic in the early 20th century. So we can go through a few slides if you got time.
Yeah.
And I can maybe show you what I'm talking about.
We good. Pull them up.
Okay. Peace to the chat. Shout out to y'all out there. Jump on the like button.
Yeah, please jump on the like button. Let me share your screen. The reason I brought up Franz Boaz too, Chief, is because I'm looking at it from the conspiracy theorist point of view. You know how all them people was in them secret societies and shit, and I know they usher in people to move forward with the agenda. You know what I mean?
Right. No, we putting his ass in cuffs too. Yeah. What? Ain't nobody making it.
Right.
He get it too. He get it
Right.
first.
Right.
Yeah, because he brought him. Without him, this probably wouldn't even happen. You feel me?
Exactly.
So, yeah, he go first. But for as when it come down to American Indian, he's seen as the father of American anthropology. And he believed each culture was separate and unique in Europe. There were several highly regarded people that he believed in. But he also was a North American Indian culture and language specialist. So when we looking around, they talking about what language you speak, and these natives saying they speak these certain languages and all of this here, and not even understanding that this guy is the one who was going to assign them. I mean, the names of them and everything, you feel me? So a lot of smaller tribes, he also was credited to name the tribes and the locations as well. And he himself, flat out said he didn't waste time going around asking the people who they were. He, he generalized and broke them out basically on geographic what areas they were in. So the the Indian Affairs, they know this. But anyway, he organized professor. He was a teacher, number of scientists who developed anthropology in the United States. So they're gonna use anthropologists in this new form of what they call in science to basically write over our story. So it's a whole battle gonna take place from the 1920s, coming through this eugenics movement, coming through this newly scientific run that they had, because in the beginning with Samuel Morton, it was deemed as scientific racism. Now, Herskovitz, we gonna see when he come in the picture, he actually gonna still use some of those principles. So we go right here to the book, The Myth of the Negro Pad. All right, now I always ask people, well, you feel me, baby girl? I always ask people, give me the first Negro, melanated man, whatever you want to call, Pan-African, scholar, whatever, that told Negroes in America that they were African. And they can't do it. I still got $1,000 bet on the table, and they cannot do it. You want to know why? Because this guy told us. Somebody who wasn't even from America came and told us. And we're going to find out how it get in our community. We're going to see who brought it in the community. So,
wait, real quick. I don't mean to cut you off. But only thing when you ask people stuff like that, they'll be like, well, they had the African or the AME church. Like they'll bring up like buildings and sites and stuff, but they can't never point to, oh, it was this person who said he was from Africa.
We listen. And see, that's why my game a whole lot different than them. And I, because in order to talk about history, you have to be talking about humans. So we need names, you feel me? Because we can't, this whole generalized history is that's what we get caught up in. We need somebody to get a credit to, or we need somebody to get a case to. But somebody, something happened and somebody done it, and it's our job to investigate and find out who done it. I'm here for the names. We finna dig them up. We're gonna go through the whole play where the money went, where the money came from. We getting all in their business, you feel me? So let's walk. So Herskovitz, the historical relationship between the present day Negroes of the United States and Africa admits of no debate. There is little scientific knowledge of what happened to this African cultural heritage in the New World. So they're saying we're African, but they have no clue on what happened to the cultural heritage. Now they became modern and said that Herskovitz even came out and said that is the only thing that the African brought with him from Africa is his color, because he bears no trace of culture, especially in the South. Now, because they couldn't find no African culture throughout the South. So right here, again, they say there's no debate. There's little scientific knowledge of what happened to this African culture heritage in the New World. Statements bearing the absence of the retention of Africanism, even though they're drawn out in different degrees of familiarity and patterns of Negro life in this country. They share one character in common. That is their authors, whether they lay scholarly, not even uncumbered, but by first-hand experience with the African civilizations involved. So they say the only thing that ties us together that we have in common is authors, is literature. You feel me? There's no human connection there. There's no bloodline connection there. So they're gonna have to build a culture. So this is the first wall that they're gonna have when they were trying to once they came to the table with this idea. But all right, let's walk. So again, it's gonna come through the eugenics movement. And in April 1923, while finishing touching on the dissertation, Herskovitz submitted an application to the NRC. The NRC is a branch, like a sisterhood of the eugenics. So we're gonna see Boaz is gonna come in. Boaz is gonna respond to the eugenics to move against cultural anthropology by using the NRC as a program. All right. So now this program that gonna be funded by the eugenics through a sister company. It's 1923. Now we're gonna find out who's getting the money. Now let's name some names. He encouraged his students to participate and coordinate the attack. All right, and who was that? That was Margaret Mead. That was Otto Kleinberg. and that was Melville Herskovitz. Now they end up gaining their funding from the NRC fellowship program as the biological scientists established in 1923. All right, now watch this here. What they study was of African American migrants tested intelligence, and Herskovitz anthropometrics study of African Americans and help undermine the previously held assumptions about the race. So now we got a whole program on studying niggas, and they got these YT people, and we're gonna watch as the funding begin to grow, because so now they had promoted immigration restrictions. Robert Yerkes said, yeah, psychologists of the main that was World War I. And we're gonna come down during the early 1920s, biological determinations led by members of the Galton Society and the environmental by Boaz. Now what's gonna happen is Boaz is gonna get another upgrade. Until the mid-1920s, the biology determined exercised a major influence in anthropology. After that, cultural anthropologists were ascended but faced significant resistance from eugenics and the bioanthropologists who relied on simplest. So basically, they end up bumping heads because the signs that they wanted to prove that the eugenics were looking for, well, this department that Boaz had created was actually going in a different direction. So, and they gonna backdoor. In 1924, Herskin applied for additional funding from the NRC. And so now you got when they brought up Rockefeller, now you got the International Education Board involved. That was John D. Rockefeller now. So you're gonna have discussions between the IEB and the NRC, and Herskovitz emphasizing on biological aspects to prove this, point of, or to help create this around it. They had problems with it though, and that was the cultural ties of connecting them together. So what did he do? So Herskovitz planned two-pronged attacks in the research of African Americans. He planned 2 attacks on our people. He proposed the study of Harlem blacks. He broadened the research to include blacks in West Virginia and Washington, D.C. He asserted the degree to which African Americans were the product of a mixed racial heritage. He would obtain genealogies and physical measurements of African Americans to determine whether they were a race according to the traditional definition of race, that is the biological category of people, in which there was little physical variation between members of the group. So again, this is why I always tell the man, get that science away from me, because the science that help them write themselves in the story, that help them gain authority over the story. But we're gonna find out that bloodline and genealogy is gonna be their worst enemy, and that's what they're basically gonna begin to attack. That's why we see him comparing the genealogies and all this. So he's gonna have to find out a way to get around the genealogies or whatever. So second, Herskovitz planned to use the tool of scientific racism, all right, to test their beliefs and determine behavior. Like Boaz, Herskovitz believed that the environment, not race, was the key behavior. He would compare by employing psychologist tests who proposed to compare among a numerous of all white, all black groups, which were damn, I can't see down there. All right, hold up. Now let me come down here. Now that's when you get all the funding. We can skip all of it. When you get the funding, I'm gonna get to the good part. Now watch this here. This is how they gonna end up stamping it, because Boaz introduced Herskovitz to several people, including Sadie Peterson, who could help facilitate the research. Peterson and hold on, because he ended up writing a book, and the information that he came out about them being in Africa, a lot of other researchers at the time went against him. Now, the people that did support him, the people that ended up, Boaz and Herskovitz promoted training of black anthropologists who could help assist Herskovitz study this whole creating us African. So Boaz, and they gonna promote the training of these black people. Now watch this here. Herskovitz Boaz is very anxious and not someone trained the Negroes out of, let me take these damn glasses out, or to have compared training to fight them scientifically battles for them. So Hershey, they brought in black assistants. Who they brought in? They brought in Louis E. King, they brought in Alan Locke, they brought in Abraham Harris, and they brought in Zordnia Hurston. Green, Maxwell, King Harris, and Hurston, they were graduate students from Columbia, and that's what Melville Hurston was running African Studies Department at. So they end up going. So watch this here. Hershkovich end up collabing with them. Now, Zordnia Hurston was big in the Harlem Renaissance, so Harlem. So she gonna take him to Harlem. So now he finna get his black card from the quote unquote, our skin folk ain't kin folk, but he finna get his black card from these people. So they gonna take him to Harlem, where he measured subjects in Harlem and West Virginia. And this guy, Maxwell, he assisted. Now, they performed data tabulations. Hurston, biographer, observed her dedication to the research. So they're all conspiring in this together. Now, watch this here. This is what they did. They took a pair, they went to Harlem street corners and they started measuring people's skulls. All right. And Zora Hurston, she ended up helping. But based off of Hurston proposed conducting a large series of anthropometric measurements and genealogies at black colleges. In January 1925, the NRC Committee on Scientific Problems and Human Migrations appealed the proposal. Hershkovich's success in gaining financial support of the study of black students, clearly due to anthropometric nature of the research, addition to Alan Locke furnished the important letter of recommendation indicating that Howard University would cooperate in Hershkovich's research. So now they're getting the HBCUs on board.
Yep.
So Howard come in, and Hershkovich would now be able to do what? His long look forward study on correlated standing and psychological interest test various anthropometric Negroid traits. So now he gets to study niggas. Now he's where he's trying to get. Now he's in the HBCUs. He got his connection with the schools. He got his extra funding coming down, and now he get to basically use Negro people as lab rats on this. So he in the dough now. Now Hershkovich, the NRC, they approved. The president was Stan Durkee at the time, Howard University, and they got the approval there for the anthropometric measurements at Howard, and they met with scientists. Hershkovich realized that his project involved measuring different anatomical parts of African Americans was inherently controversial. So prior to the mergers of the Boazian paradigm, this type of research had been ranked to use race and demonstrate the inferiorities of African Americans. So, they'll, again, like I said, they go back to the Samuel Morton and the cranial metrics and all this research to prove that our brains are small and all of this, because Hershkovich came out, you hear people say we got big lips, broad nose, and all that. Well, this coming from this guy. You feel me? So all in scientific racism. So what ended up happening is, and I'm almost done with it. So the main purpose of Hershkovich's anthropometric research was to determine the degree of African Americans that were products of African, European, and American Indian ancestry. So the census indicated that from 1870 to 1920, between 12 and 21% of the Negro population were mulattoes, with the 1920 census putting the figure at 15.9, finding that most African Americans were mixed heritage. And so Hershkovich, they suppose that biometrically, the degree of African Americans of mixed African, European, and Indian descent were genealogies reported by the study subject. The combination of statistic measurements and genealogies will show the extent of African Americans according to samples represented by mixed populations and groups. So when they was coming to our people, well, they had church Bibles, they had oral stories, their family cemeteries, and they were using genealogy. Well, the science that was coming was trying to tell them that genetically and biologically they were something different, and that was, could be your skin tone, could be behavior traits and this type of science, which was in that time a lot of people was going against it. Now, unfortunately, right now, several academics and popular writers began to disseminate and distort version of Hershkin finding. A wide audience in the 1930s, these writers misinterpreted Hershkin's conclusions and strengthened the notion that American Negroes formed a distinct racial group. In 1931, Edwin Embry, president of the Roswell Foundation, published Brown America, the Story of the New Race, based on the large part of results on Hershkin's studies. Now, what's going to happen now that they all getting down with this play? Now they need the black card to come stamp it. So here they come. So Woodson and Hershkin's psychological approach supported the racism assumptions of traditional anthropologists. Now, Woodson had pointed to secondary results from the physical anthropology and revealed that the approach highlight psychological difference between blacks and whites. And now they got insistence from the NAACP. And then the Wood Association, they brought them in for the study of Negro life and history on the measurements of students at public schools in Harlem. So they're going to bring in W. Du Bois, showed that the book and the author, who else was it? It was Wingate Todd. He instigated a clear demonstration of increased homogeny in Negroes. Another review of the American Negro, a brilliant piece of work. Du Bois showered the book and his author with praise. Du Bois pronounced Hershkovich a real scientist and called his book epic making Hershkovich, and continued to prove that the American Negro is a new definite group. And all of the nonsense fostered by the United States Census as mulattoes is swept away. Now, this is what Du Bois said, because we knew mulatto then meant that you had some blood of Indian ancestry in you.
Right.
You feel me? So with this, like Du Bois said, Hershkovich is proving that all of that mulatto talk, meaning all that Indian talk, is washed away. You feel me? So how did it come about, and who were the people involved? How were they involved? And so you had a lot of people going against it. Even Boaz came back and told him, man, you need to go down south and figure that out. So Hershkovich, I'm finna land on this right here. Boaz told Hershkovich in early 1928 that although he inclined to accept Hershkovich's conclusion, Hershkovich needed to continue the research in Alabama, Louisiana to confirm his findings. All right, so he told him, it's cool up here in Harlem and East, but you gotta go down south with him. You know what I'm talking about?
What them real, not real, but what them, them engines is down there.
What the engines is. So they sent him down there, and he came back with some bad news. So he sought to address Boaz, and he went to get more evidence from the Deep South. In December, Hershkovich received finding the NRC to send a black student, Vivian Cameron, to Mississippi. So they sued him down there, and Cameron measurements of 171 families, including 639 males and females, reported that it appears that the black belt population is no more Negroid than the measured by me in the North doing earlier research. Now, during the 1940s, you had August Mercer. He was a young professor at Tougaloo College in Mississippi. He conducted genealogy studies on there to prove Hershkovich and them wrong. And his black students confirmed that the results of Hershkovich's study, in fact, Myers' genealogy of Tougaloo students indicated that even lower percentage of unmixed African descent. So they already knew this here, and the people had disproved him. So Hershkovich's early study, the one major difference was that Tougaloo students indicated a much larger degree of what American Indian heritage at 72%, compared to the 27% that Hershkovich put down on the paper. And so these are the things that they were doing back then, but they had caught them back then, and they knew they was running the play, you feel me? But that's a little quick drop on how it all came about. Who was, I ain't get to go through we could have did all that, but I ain't want to take up too much time, but if you want to know how it happened and people thinking it happened by, force or anything like that, or it literally was the science, it was the education, it was the quote unquote who they call black leaders was. It was who stamped it, made it real, brought these people around and let them control the show. But I will say this here, going back in the 1800s, a lot of those families, especially after 1877 Compromise Act, they knew they were bringing in a lot of these YT immigrants. So a lot of them bred YT in order to hide the crimes and use the YT people to push the Negroes out of these institutions and these important spots of power and replace them with them. So there's a famous story here about this guy named McKee who actually did it. His grandson started the Boule. His great-grandson ended up starting the Boule, but he was the richest black man in America. Grandson started the Boule. His son ended up marrying a white woman. Wall Street, all the lawyers, very popular, and they had all of the money. And you had a guy in Washington, D.C., who was fired from the National Archives, and he ended up writing a book telling how all of these Negro families that were, big landowners, stole a lot of land, did a lot of bad business, they end up breeding white. And now the YT people are, who you were training, now they're taking your positions, or they got them in over you. And so this came from the mind of people that look like us. I just always want to be clear on it, that they put them there. That's no different than the migrations now. You have that's coming over through the open borders through this administration. Well, back then, after the Compromise Act and Ellis Island, they brought over 12 to 16 million YT people a year. So how I looked at now is how I looked at back then.
Yeah,
so,
I said that.
The petition came for the jobs or whatever. And so the unions, they were just coming into creating the unions or whatever. And that's where it came from. So they want to make like it was a black and white problem forever, but that problem didn't come to the 20th century when they came over to Americanize them. That's giving them my last name because, when we grew up, white folks couldn't jump, white men can't jump, white folks could cook, white folks couldn't dance. It was, you know what I'm saying? And so they just getting assimilated into the culture, which was ours. But how did it happen? You know what I'm saying? There was some of the facts, and that was a good topic to bring up on Friends.
It's crazy. First of all, thank you for coming up and giving that in-depth situation on Melville Herskovich. Is that how you say his name? One thing I tell people, and this before I even started looking into it, I was like, these clear people would not be able to do this without us assisting. Like it's impossible. Like they had to get us on board to get us on board, if it makes sense. So with Zora Neale Hurston, I had said this on the channel a while ago. I was like, she giving Fed like spy type, teas or whatever. I don't know what's going on with her.
And she was Indian. She had Cherokee.
She was.
But they always use our own people. It only gonna work if they get people that know us. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where I was going with it. They gotta use us in order to use us. They can't do it on their own. That's why they always put a black looking face. And I found this also too. When we was talking about Tunis Campbell, half and half up out of Georgia, who said he was gonna be there for the black people and went up to DC and ended up trading on everybody. Yeah. I started to find that to be a trend. When you were talking about the inbreeding with the clear people and the Negroes, and they make these babies, they do that. I believe they do that on purpose so that they can breed up these people to have an easier way to.
They also did it to hide the wealth. They also did it to hide the crimes of humanity that they did. A lot of them were involved because these were important families. See, a lot of people, to understand it, the Northeast, coming out of the Northeast America, they came down and expanded out of the 13 colonies, and everything was different countries. So now they made it one. So they expanded. The colonizers came from up north. That's what happened. Yeah. that came down south. That was everybody that fought alongside the British in the American Revolution was mostly American Indian nations, and they were fighting to keep their land. Their land wasn't taken by the British, so that story didn't start to come about till after the Civil War, when a lot of this Reconstruction time. Before then, everyone knew who, and so when the Yankees came down in the Civil War, they are the ones who brought down the black church with them, the Negro conventions 1830, brought down the labor conventions in 1869. They brought down the black codes and the different amendments to bring the Indians into citizenship. They came down with the Boaz division, which was other Masons that came down with them, talking about putting insurance on your house. My nigga, we've been staying here for so long, and you knocking in my door about some insurance, and now they done took the house. And so those taxes were brought down to the South. We wasn't living nothing like that. And so the cheap labor and all of that, the Jim Crow laws, the restrictions, the curfews and all of that came down after during the Reconstruction period. All of those played a part, and the land loss, because the loss of land started in 1862, and it went all the way up until 100 years later in the 60s when they got Mississippi catfish farms and all of that, all those lands out there, you feel me? So, and brought down the Southern Baptist Convention and sent the black preachers in there to clean it up. So it's been to play, the kings of Europe during the 13 colonies with Negroes, King James Stewart I and the Stewart family, Charles I, Charles II, James Duke of York, Bunny Prince, all of them Stewarts. They were, so if a YT man came over here and did this, then he's still bowing down to a melanated king. It don't make sense. You feel me? So all of this, it had to come from us and people that look like us, that people that know us. You feel me?
And that's why I be trying to tell people, like I say, I feel like we should obviously keep our head on the swivel as it pertains to race and white supremacy and all that. But I think as long as we put that whole focus on that, we're going to miss the whole thing. It's got to be some of us. We got a lot of treasonous people in our camp. And because of that, we need to be looking at these treasonous people and all these people who we think are for us are really not. Everybody they prop up to us ain't for us. Right. Everybody they demonize is the ones who really was trying to help us.
Watch this here. We could just look at this last presidential race we can. Everyone that they gave us, and you see how, especially in this Diddy era, everybody they gave looked like they had something to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Even if nothing came out yet, but we still felt like it, and it changed the whole game to where all celebrities, you looking like everybody had. If you were a celebrity, then you had to get down. You feel me? You've been compromised in some type of way. And now when it's they running for election, and the people that they bring to us, and it's obvious. So this is what has been happening. So back then, when it was Langston Hughes, when it was the best singers and all of them, well, they were signed to these people back then in the 1920s during the Harlem Renaissance. So this situation, that's why they were talking about the relationship between blacks and small hats. You feel me? Because they had been running them industries back then, but back then they looked like us though. That's another one. Yeah, but again, they put the YT man in front of them as a patsy, and they're pulling the strings. If this election then show our people that how much power that Negroes actually have in America, because the whole conversation was about who gonna get the black voters, but they say 14% of the country, and you got 400,000 YT people. Well, that means no Negroes should be able to get off the couch, because 400 million, how we gonna, our vote shouldn't even matter, but obviously it do. Somebody lying about something. This our country, we are the majority, and we run the niggas run the Democratic Party, period. The Democratic Party, they put all them Latinos and all these other races out there in front of the Rainbow Coalition in front, but behind the scenes, they are running the party because they started, and it came from up north too. Yeah.
And let me say this too. It's funny you say that because when we start talking about the statistics in this recent race, now they gave us stats saying that 90% of black women voted for Kamala and 80% of black men voted. Come on now, listen. We on the grassroots level, we know that's a lie. We know that's a lie. But that's what they gonna put out there, like I be telling my people, just to give us not to give us any ideas that we even have that type of political power. The reason they lost this race is because a lot of black people didn't.
Because we voted. We voted for Trump.
We either stayed home or we voted for Trump. And us staying home or voted for Trump jacked them up, and they refuse to put them stats out there because they want to pander to us like we have that political power, but they don't really want us to feel like we have that power. So they'll rather put that it was 90% of black women and 80% of black men that voted for Kamala. And I'm saying
they tried to blame it on the Mexicans.
Yeah, then they said it was the Hispanics that got them in there because they would rather give it to them than to say that it was us. But that's why I'm telling everybody, even if you voted or not, if you didn't vote or voted for Trump, you affected the Democratic Party. That's the only thing I'll agree with when it comes to this stuff. But I agree with some people like Tariq Nasheed. He be talking about that stuff, how black people helped, the crash of the Democratic Party, because they did. They just won't say that. They want us to believe, oh, no, y'all still voted the same way y'all always do. So we'll continue to think that in our head. But I've been telling people since the beginning of time, there's no way we 13, 14%, but yet we the biggest demographic they come to.
Yeah, we got that much power, and we the little bittiest ones here, but we got all the power. The whole conversation is about, I remember looking at it while it was going down, and they were looking in the counties. They was like, well, right now Trump's leading, but there's a large African-American demographic in this county right here. So we're looking for them things to switch up. So they counted, what about these 400 million white YT people? Where are they at? Who are they vote? What is going on? Who they vote for? And so now, behind the scenes, the Wizard of Oz is somebody like they're running the whole play, because they brought them people here through these open border mass migrations, and the Democrats have been a few times brought to the Senate because of these what they call controlled migrations. They did one out of the South going into Kansas when they wanted to help the industrial boom there. And this was the Civil War with Pap Singleton, and I can't think of a boy name from Louisiana. He ended up snitching, told the whole play. But they wanted to know why were all of these people migrating to the same place. It was called the Kansas Exodus. And he turned around and they found out they wanted to switch, get enough voters in there. The Triple K was created to scare off Negro voters in the South because they didn't have the population or the numbers to beat us. We were Republic, so we were going majority of the Republic. So that's why they even brought those, the KKK and all of those other groups out there, to deter your vote. Again, showing the power, you feel me, that we always did have the power. And I think a curse being broken, though, you feel me, from 1960 when they, for the Democrat, a lot happened through that civil rights, I'm sorry. You had MLK and them with that style, them putting the pastor leaders out on Black came in 1967, Pan-Africanism came in 1969, Negro came in they killed the word Negro, brought in Black, and the crack epidemic, all of this here, all of these things were tools that the Dems, the welfare programs, prison pipeline, all of this here was created by this regime that, just failed just now. You feel me? And so I think a lot of that went out with them because a lot of them that came in that were the first in the Black Caucus and all of this in the 60s during the Civil Rights era, well, a lot of them elderly and they on their way out the door. So I think a lot of things gonna change, even just the mind of the people in the oppression, because this shit was like, this was a plan and those people directly. That's why they sit in office so long, held their seats for career politicians and did absolutely nothing to help you. There's no way in the world that they not accessory to this.
Hell yeah. And you know, when I saw that the celebrity wasn't able to sway the public, I ain't gonna lie, that made me feel good. I was like, oh, I'm so scared. Because they were bringing out the Top Guns. They were bringing out, I would call it.
They went and got the big hive, the Swifties.
I had Barack and Michelle as Big Joker and Lil Joker. I was like, oh Lord, these niggas gonna go crazy. But I like you say, it's some type of spell being broken or something is happening to where even if you into politics or not, people not going with the old bull that we've been going with. And I'm praying and hoping that's what it is, that we are in the beginning of awakening. I'm not even gonna pray. That's what it is. We're in the beginning of awakening, and we're gonna go nowhere but further than, you know, from here. Because I ain't gonna lie, this election showed me a lot, and it should have showed a lot of people, even if you on either side, it should have showed a lot of people that there's a swift change happening.
Oh yeah, when niggas cussed out Barack,
yeah,
it was over. Barack came and I'm talking about the brothers, and they said, nigga, man, we so polarized here in America, man, niggas ain't trying to hear nothing but what is the money. Period.
Right.
They cussed out Barack. I said, oh man, if they can't go get Barack, who can they go get? I mean, it ain't nobody go get that. It was a rap. Yeah, they put it up.
Yeah, if you can't get Barack, I thought Beyonce was gonna bring a few people back, but even she didn't do it. When she didn't do it, I was like, yeah, it's over. It's over.
But you know, they hurt themselves when they went after Diddy. They went after him at the wrong time, and then his connection to, you know what I mean, a lot of the politicians, and we seen with Eric Adams and Mill New York. We seen, you know, Bishop Whitehead, when he said that, you know, they came to get him and they wanted information on Eric Adams. When Diddy had information on Eric Adams, they sit him down, and all of those people were associated with Diddy. You feel me? So when people not looking at Beyonce the same way they were looking at her when she walked out there, you know, and they looking at, you know, and they hearing stories like Jaguar Wright and different things, like we just speak about Jay-Z and them, and you know, and that's where Kamala came with the whole, well, we want to do censorship. You know, you shouldn't be able to say these type of things, you know what I mean? So I think that's what really hurt them. I think they played their hand wrong when they went after Diddy. They should have waited till it was over with, then handle their business, because you had took that they killed their image in the minds of the people. And so now
they lifted a veil. They lifted a veil off that whole shit, because all the celebrities on the left and all of them come and speak. Look at half of them looking like they don't even really want to be there.
Nah, they don't want to be there. They come get their shit.
Right.
Or you know, and you can't say no when you're in the game. You know,
right?
You can't say no.
Right. I think what happened, what I saw was beautiful. Even the people who decided not to just go with the move. But yeah, when they cussed out Barack, I was like, ooh. But then when Beyonce didn't do it, and they tried, especially when they tried to double back with Cardi, I was like, yeah, it's a wrap. But it should have told us a lot.
Cardi was already in the news from cheating on her baby daddy. 8-9 months pregnant. I don't think that was a good look. Like, you already got Megan twerking, and now you come get Cardi, who busting it open at 9 months. Come on, man. Like, that was it. Come on now, Cardi. Yeah, that was a bad look. And then, you know, and then she in debt, and now she I need some back. Yeah, I think
fumbled the whole B. She fumbled the whole $1 billion, bro. Like, you can't, bro. Yeah, I'm just glad it didn't go the way it went. I'm just super glad it didn't go the way it went, because she fumbled $1 billion in 120 days or 100 days. Man, we would have been dead out here.
Blowing money fast. Bill Mills, she was blowing money fast.
She thinks she big meat.
And they came out and said it. They said, the Democratic Party have to look. And these Democrats came out and said, Democratic Party have to look in the mirror. We have made promises after promise to the Black community, and when they needed us, they felt like they weren't heard, and when we needed them the most, they made sure our voices weren't heard, and they made their decisions. America spoke. I said, so yeah, I mean, they got to tear down. They got to start all the way over from new. That's a lot of people lose, but it's how you lose. And in that loss, I think they had to go look this new world that they created since that Obama administration. You know what I mean? With how all these things going, what Trump say for a day, niggas, only 2 genders in America. Because the world not respecting us, they done created a whole new reality that, a lot of people not comfortable with. And I'm ready to see with this new administration what they gonna do, man. I'm just ready to get some more money back in America. Yeah, we need some money back in America.
Yeah, my pocketbook feeling a little light. I want it back heavy again, like it
was. Them's gonna keep a nigga asking for something. Them want to get food. They give everybody food stamp books. Oh yeah, they want to pass out food stamp books. No, that whole little thought process though, that whole regime gone, because now when they come back, they can't come back with the same play. Now when they come back, like if they say they're gonna do something, they're gonna have to do it, because them bringing in the migrants and trying to get them to fast track citizenship so they can be able to vote, and hopefully the numbers can match up, because they knew they was outnumbered, because they know the first election with Joey B and Trump put up so many numbers. I mean,
it froze, Chief. I think you froze. Y'all get the likes up on the video. I think Chief froze right quick. While he fixes internet, I don't know what it is, but he froze up real quick. I just want to say this, man. My old saying, everybody on here know. There you go. I was just telling them what my saying is: there's nothing new under the sun. Everything you did has already been done. The only difference in the mass influx of the migrants coming in now in the past is just that we have social media and internet, and everybody could see it all at one time. But this ain't the first time them people done did this.
That's how YT people got here.
Yeah. That's why I told them at the beginning of the stream. I said, y'all homework is ask a white person where they come from.
And why say, look, ask them how long your family been in this country.
Yep, they're gonna say 1900s. 1900s. You might get some that'll say the late 1800s.
And then the question after that you ask them, was they mixed? Did they mix with any black people? That's the next question after that. Because if they been here this long, then they got niggas in their family. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Man, it was dope having you on, Chief. I appreciate you coming up, sharing your wisdom. I need you to come back and run that mic shit.
Oh, man.
That's what I wanted you on here from the beginning. I'm trying to get into the mic teas.
All right, bet. I got you. We can set a date, and then I got you. Anything for you. And I told you give me 10 minutes because I had to go make my own etouffee. Ain't that something? Yeah, but that's a bit though. Shout out to the dog house. Y'all be cool, like y'all be cool. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Man, y'all get the likes up on the video. Shout out to Big Chief University, BCU, legendary Chief Topcast. Y'all go over there, man. This is a scholar we talking to. This ain't no regular schmegular nigga. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all used to the regular niggas, and he looked like a regular nigga, but this is a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? Y'all make sure y'all go head over to legendary Chief Topcast on YouTube. He also on TikTok as well. I heard he be cooking over there. So y'all make sure y'all go check that out. This was a lovely live. Like always, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. Because you know how when you in it, you don't really get it. But let me say this. Let me tell y'all this. Hold on. Let me cue it up. Because the more we dig and the more we study, we realize, like I said, and again, I didn't have no proof of anything. It was just something on me. I don't know where I be getting these downloads from, but it was just something on me. These people are not successful without the help of us. Same with Zora Neale Hurston. Oh, by the way, I did some research on the doggone Buffalo Soldiers. they ain't what we thought we was. Neither here nor there. I told y'all niggas. I told y'all niggas. I told y'all niggas.
I told y'all niggas. I told y'all niggas. Y'all thought I was playing, but I told y'all niggas.
I told y'all. And we about to dig deep. Zora Neale Hurston, I'm not gonna lie, it was something on her. When I started looking at it, it was something on her. Then when I started digging in, I said, oh yeah, it's giving spy teas, it's giving op teas, and she one of us. I told y'all gotta start looking at everybody. Race is still a thing. But if we only focus on that, we gonna if it's a snake, it will bite us. It's gonna run us all over rampant because we gonna be so busy looking at the clear people running around here today that really ain't really like they ain't old school racists. They racist, but they ain't old school racists. Like they ain't burning houses down and putting crosses up in your neighborhoods and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, I love that I had Chief on here. We got into France Boaz Melville Herskovitz. Is that how you say his name? I find it all funny that they came from Germany. And my mama theory is ringing truer and truer because my mama said, and we're going to get into that next week, just a little bit though, because we supposed to be learning about Negro history. But my mama said that Hitler was a bastard child of the Rothschild, and things went left, and Hitler said, bet, I'm about to burn all this shit down. And my mama said, Hitler went to cutting up, and at first they was like woo woo woo, but then when they saw Hitler was really hitting, they was like, this nigga gotta go. You know what I'm saying? And when I found out that he raided and looted the Freemason lodge, like the top one, like the circuit, what do you call it? The one that like the central one, the central lodge. I said, yeah, they had to get him up out of here because Freemasonry is at the very prefaces or at the very origin of all of this. And again, they got the clear ones and they got the ones like us, okay? Nevertheless, thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of y'all so much. Y'all are nothing short of amazing. Gina Bullard Dixon, thank you for the super chat, y'all. Tiff, thank you for becoming a new member. If I haven't told you, my love, thank you, beautiful. Y'all, I am so happy to be here. I'm so mad that I missed this morning, but you know what? We here. And that's all that matters. Y'all meet me here next Friday, but definitely meet me here Monday because we're going to be back outside, you know, doing what we do or whatever. I'll come live tomorrow at the Dollhouse on some ghetto shit, naive. But other than that, y'all, love y'all down to the ground. I'm about to Joe y'all up out of here. I am so appreciative of y'all, and we all learning together. So hopefully we'll have more scholars come on too as well. One day, if I cross my fingers, I could possibly ask Dane to stop whatever he's doing and get off of his throne and come on down to the little old voodoo doll TV. One day, let's cross our fingers, okay? Let's just, hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Let's just cross our fingers. I ain't big like that, but one day I will be, okay? With that being said, I love y'all down to the ground. I will see you guys later. Peace.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. We live, baby. Come on. That's right. Okay. Can you hear me now? Oh, let's go. It's your boy Big Chew, the voice of the beat. You know what I won't blaze up. Come on, blaze up.
It's the beat for me.
Wow, 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 wow. For your guy, for your B-O-Y. Drop it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Do it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Come on, baby, we live. For your boy. For your boy. Also for your boy. Fix it for your boy. Drop it for your wow. Lift it up. Then it bust it open, lift it up. Yeah. Come on, lift it up. Then it bust it open for your B-O-Y. Bend it for your rockin' for your lift it up, baby. Mix it with your bossa now. Come on, Blaze, so you know. Drop me a nasty beat.
Carol, how you give the voodoo doll time to talk? I don't get no fucking time to talk.
Who the voodoo doll is?
The nigga you just had up here.